20 kilometers ahead, you will reach Resource Zone F, Dawn University. Resource analysis, water, food, and clothing are available. Monster resource analysis. Defeating anomalous creatures grants a chance to obtain items from their bodies. Carrying these items can grant buffs to the user. After reading the last piece of information, Houchin looked somewhat surprised. Only resource reports had appeared before, but this time there was also a monster resource report. Defeating anomalous creatures can get items from their bodies? That's interesting. And this is a university. Maybe we can search it thoroughly. Right after Houchin finished speaking, he quickly pulled up the map to check the area they were approaching. Dawn University covered a vast area, making it one of the largest resource zones within Grade F regions. A large area means more supplies to scavenge, and it also gives us room to deal with incoming enemies. Having made up his mind, Houchin turned on the radio transceiver. He adjusted the channel, locked onto Sumo's aircraft channel, and said, Dawn University is 20 kilometers ahead. It's huge. We can land there. Once we get off the plane, everyone follows my orders, understood? Sumo quickly replied upon hearing Houchin's plan. We'll follow everything you say. Understood. Houchin closed the channel at once, then adjusted his microphone. We need to pick up the pace to make progress. Everyone fasten your seatbelts. I'm going to increase speed now. If anyone feels nauseous, ask the class monitor for plastic bags. Increasing speed again. Su Qinglan's face paled the moment she heard the broadcast. She had experienced high-speed travel from the co-pilot seat before. The experience was far more than just thrilling. Monitor, give me a bag. Me too, me too. Everyone got hold of a small plastic bag, fearing they would throw up. To avoid disturbing Houchin's piloting, Su Qinglan sat with the other students inside the cabin. As soon as she fastened her seatbelt, the aircraft rocketed forward. An invisible pressure pressed against their faces. With speed rising, only the final 5 kilometers remained to Dawn University. All right, time to descend. Just as he had done before, Houchin carried out the landing smoothly. Instead of a sharp plunge, he used a buffered descent to keep the aircraft stable without violent jolts. He had grown familiar with the landing procedure. Landing gear, flaps, and other operations were completed in an instant. As the airliner taxied along the runway, Houchin applied gentle braking to slow it down. In less than 5 minutes, their civilian jet came to a steady stop on the runway. Another aircraft taxied onto the adjacent runway. Sumo executed her landing the same way, perfectly and without mishaps. Houchin opened the main cockpit door. His gaze fell on Lin Zhiyao and the others, who had just woken up. There's no time for explanations. Grab your backpacks and get off. Those who have awakened talents, come find me. We need to work out a plan. At his words, everyone slung on their backpacks and filed off the plane. Right after stepping down, they met Sumo's group. Sumo wore shorts and combat boots, paired with a gray jacket. Her hair was tied in a high ponytail. She was slender and tall, standing at 178 centimeters, the same height as Houchin. Behind Sumo were elderly people, a child, and several young adults. A 7-year-old little girl hid behind an elderly grandmother, watching Lin Zhiyao's group warily. Sumo looked anxious. Which one is Houchin? Can Houchin come out? What should we do next? We need to discuss this. Hearing Sumo's urgent voice, Houchin stepped out from the aircraft exit. Here. Houchin climbed down, and Sumo grasped his hand excitedly. Thank you for helping us. What is our next move? Houchin looked past her toward the elderly and child behind her. 5 elderly people, 1 child, 3 young adults in their 20s, plus 1 female captain. So many elders. No wonder they were on the run. Houchin gave a light cough. This isn't a good spot to talk. Let's head inside the campus first. Okay. Got it. Sumo turned to her people. Aunt Wang, take Xiaoxue and go with this young man's group. Dazhuang, you too. Let's get inside the campus before we make plans. Aunt Wang wiped tears from her eyes and nodded. Come on, Xiaoxue, stay with Grandma. The whole group set off toward the campus. Up in the sky, Jack's aircraft arrived at that very moment. Jack looked down. Spotting 2 planes parked on the runway below, he smirked. So you landed here. This makes things easy. I thought you would keep running. I didn't expect you to be bold enough to stop mid-flight. Jack adjusted his microphone and said, Men, our targets are down there. Once I land, we kill them all, seize their supplies, and strip their planes for spare parts. Cheers erupted inside the cabin, wild and primitive. Outer perimeter of Dawn University. Houchin walked at the front of the group, with Sumo beside him. They halted when they reached the campus gate. The university sign was overgrown with weeds and rust, tangled in vines. Can we really find anything useful in this place? Su Mian frowned. Houchin tore his eyes away from the sign and kept walking forward. We aren't just here for supplies. We're also going to eliminate the enemies chasing us. He glanced around the sprawling campus. Past the gate stood office buildings on both sides. This was the only entry point into the campus. An idea formed in Houchin's mind. We could set an ambush here. Since this is the only way in, we can lay a trap. Suemo wiped sweat off her forehead. How? You'll see. They haven't arrived yet. Let's hash out our plan first. He turned toward Luo Qianqian. Vice, monitor, scout ahead. If you spot anomalous creatures, take them out. If not, we'll head upstairs to discuss plans and settle the elders and child. Leave it to me. Luo Qianqian nodded firmly. Light glinted in her eyes. She scanned the office building ahead and spotted black chi seeping from the second, third, and fourth floors. There are anomalous creatures on floors 2, 3, and 4 of this building. And that building over there too. She pointed to the adjacent office building. Anomalous creatures are present in both buildings. Panic swept over the elderly at her words. All filled with monsters. What do we do? Should we run back to the planes and take off? That's impossible. Their people have probably already landed on the runway. We're trapped. An old white-haired man sank to the ground, clutching his head. Aunt Wang held the child and wept. The young man Dazhuang gripped his crowbar. Damn it. Someone has to stand and fight. I'll go take them on. Dazhuang stepped onto the steps. The creatures inside the building had caught scent of humans. 3 shadowy figures appeared on the corridor. Their eyes were hollow, fixed on the group with ravenous hunger. When Dazhuang met their gaze, his legs turned to jelly. Monsters, they've seen us. Dazhuang paled, pointing at the shadowy creatures on the second-floor corridor. The 3 creatures leaped straight down from the floors above. Houchin could see they had no legs. Their lower bodies were wispy, spectral forms. Their hands were sharp as blades. Black skull-like heads sat atop their bodies, shrouded in thick black chi. We're done for. They've spotted us. Suemo sank to the ground, hands going limp, eyes wide. At that moment, Houchin lifted his gaze, looking down on the low, grade anomalous creatures with cold disdain. Sorry about this. 3 grade F monsters dare to attack us. His tone carried quiet contempt. There was no time to warn everyone to get back. The creatures were already closing in. Houchin calmly extended his right hand, cold glint flashing in his eyes. Gravity collapse. The ability activated. Within a 10-meter radius centered on Houchin, all survivors without S-rank talents and all anomalous creatures were crushed under overwhelming gravity. Suemo, who had been sitting on the ground, was instantly battered by the crushing force. What's happening? She propped herself on the ground, unable to lift her head, only able to see Houchin's ankles. Dazhuang, Aunt Wang, Xiaoxue, and the others suffered the same. Lin Jiao, an S-rank talent holder, felt immense pressure on her knees. She managed to stay upright, but could not kneel completely. Su Mian, Su Qinglan, Lin Weiwei, and the rest dropped to their knees, barely able to lift their heads. What is this? Is Houchin doing this? I feel like a massive weight is pressing down on my skull. It's like having 300 genes sitting right on top of me. The 3 anomalous creatures collapsed onto the ground, completely immobilized. Under Lin Jiao and Sumo's watch, Houchin stroked the tip of his combat dagger. You don't survive out here without strength. You're only grade F. Don't overplay your hand in front of me. Houchin stepped up to one of the creatures and brought his foot crashing down, stomping its skull apart. Black chi dispersed, and its body crumbled into dust. He crushed the remaining 2 creatures the same way. They had no chance to fight back within his gravity field. 1 minute of gravity suppression is more than enough. It works perfectly against anyone or any monster below S rank. Once the 3 creatures were eliminated, Houchin deactivated his ability. Pressure lifted from Su Mo, Lin Weiwei, and the others struggled back to their feet. My apologies, everyone. Things happened too fast for me to warn you to keep your distance. The 3 anomalous creatures are dealt with, so you're safe now. Let's head upstairs. Houchin acted as if nothing extraordinary had occurred as he walked toward the stairs. Staring at his retreating back, Su Mo swallowed hard. What level of power does he possess? To pin people down like that, she dared not dwell on it, afraid of provoking him. The group reached the 3rd floor. Houchin's party settled in an office room, while Sumo's group took a small room at the far end of the hallway. They kept a safe distance apart, staying cautious. All the female students with awakened talents followed Houchin out, and Su Mo came alone from her side. They gathered on the stairwell landing. Su Mo could not hold back her curiosity. If you don't mind me asking, how did you do that? What rank is your talent? Houchin had no intention of revealing his talent. She was still a stranger, and he was cooperating only for payment. That is none of your concern. I cannot tell you. Suemo hung her head. She understood talents were every survivor's most vital secret. Revealing it left you completely exposed. Mystery kept others wary. My apologies for prying. What is our next step? Suemo looked up at him. What weapons do they have? Do they possess guns? Suemo shook her head. I don't know for certain. All of them are strong young men. I have no idea how many awakened talents they have. We were on the run, so we never got a chance to gather intelligence. We have zero intel. How can we fight? If they have guns, one shot could take us down. What if they have combat-type talents? This would be like chickens facing eagles. Su Mian folded her arms and voiced her concerns openly. She's right. Teacher Su Qinglan agreed. Firearms are no trivial threat. I am not certain my barrier can withstand sustained gunfire. Acting blindly without knowing the enemy's strength is extremely dangerous. Haochen pondered their input. Information was their biggest shortage. There was no way to confirm whether the enemy had firearms. Still, they dared to chase them, so their power must be considerable. Worst case scenario, they had guns and combat, talent users. Judging by timing, they had parked their aircraft and were marching toward the university gate. They would arrive very soon. Only one method could draw out information about them. Haochen glanced toward the distant teaching building. The two office buildings by the gate already held anomalous creatures. That teaching building would surely have them too. I've got a plan. A sharp glint appeared in his eyes. What plan? Suemo asked expectantly. We will test their strength by luring the snake out of its hole. Lure the snake out? You mean send someone to draw anomalous creatures over and let them fight? Sumo's mouth fell open in shock. Haochen nodded. That's far too risky. If that person gets caught, they will die. But Haochen had Su Mian, who possessed an A-rank speed talent. The word impossible is not in my dictionary. My speed is incredible. Can grade F monsters outrun an A-rank talent? Su Mian twisted her ankle confidently. Where do you want me to draw the monsters from, Haochen? He pointed toward the distant teaching building. There. Su Mian followed his gaze. Just walk through each floor, make noise, then run back. The monsters will only start chasing once they detect you. Keep running. If you get into trouble, Teacher Su can cast a shield on you, and I can deploy another barrier. You will be safe. Su Mian nodded. All right, time for me to go for a wild run. A tiny mechanical dragonfly flew back and landed on Sumo's palm. She opened her eyes. They are only 500 meters from the campus gate. Perfect timing. Haochen smiled faintly. Count on you, sports committee member. He clapped Su Mian on the shoulder. Confidence surged inside Su Mian. Watch me. She vanished in an instant. Suemo watched her dash like a gust of wind into the teaching building lobby. 3 seconds later, glass shattered on the second floor. Hoarse, inhuman roars echoed from deep inside the building. What was that noise? Jack caught the sound of breaking glass and halted. Maybe the two groups are fighting. In this hellish place, alliances don't last. They're probably turning on each other. We can strike while they are distracted and reap all the rewards. Hilton is right. We hit them while they fight. We get both planes, all their people, and every supply. Cheers drowned out Jack's doubts. Advance full speed. Today is a great day for plunder. Jack raised his fire axe, brimming with arrogance. The moment they stepped through the university gate, rapid footsteps came rushing toward them. Su Mian darted into the middle of the path, stuck out her tongue, and sprinted away again, vanishing from sight in mere seconds. Damn it. She even had time to taunt us. Insolent brat. Jack stepped forward searching for her, only to freeze at what he saw next. 5 or 6 anomalous creatures, claws bared, came flying straight for his group. What the hell? That woman led monsters right to us. What are we waiting for? Attack! Flames coalesced in Jack's hands. Since they're coming, taste my fire. He hurled a fireball. It struck one anomalous creature, engulfing it in burning flames. Well done, Jack. Leave the rest to me. Johnny instantly stepped in front of Jack. Right after that, his fists transformed into iron gauntlets. Taste the fist of God. Johnny swung a heavy punch, slamming it straight into the strange creature's face. The blow shattered it completely, reducing it to dust. Upstairs, Haochen watched and jotted down observations. 2 out of 10 people have awakened talents. One controls flames, the other can turn his hands into iron fists. Their talent ranks should be A rank and B rank respectively. I've been watching for a while and haven't spotted any firearms. Looks like they don't have guns. That works in our favor. Haochen withdrew his gaze and vanished down the hallway. Once the strange creatures were dealt with, Jack and the others finally relaxed. It was then that Jack spotted a ring lying on the ground. What's this? The moment he picked it up, a system panel popped up showing the item's name and stats. Fine, grade. Ring of Strength effect. When worn, the the user can unleash a powerful strike. Upper power limit scales with item quality. Remaining uses, 3. Who would have thought killing these strange creatures would drop loot? Fortune is on my side. Ha ha. Jack had just slipped the ring of strength onto his finger, still savoring his moment of triumph, when an invisible crushing weight crashed down on him like an iron wall. Thud! The sound of knees slamming against the ground rang out all at once. All 10 men dropped to their knees in perfect unison. Hilton's fire axe flew out of his grip, clattering onto the concrete 3 meters away. Johnny's iron fists had not fully reverted yet. He was pinned to the ground, unable to move even his fingers. Hilton's face smashed into the dirt, and he choked on a mouthful of dust, coughing violently. Who the hell dash? Jack gritted his teeth and tried to turn his head, but an invisible force clamped down on his neck, making even rolling his eyes difficult. He strained and twisted, and finally caught sight of a pair of shoes right in front of him. Moving upward, tactical trousers, then a black jacket, and higher still, a young man stared down at him. You. Jack ground his teeth in disbelief, furious at the youth's arrogance. Houchin crouched down, meeting Jack's gaze. They were less than half a meter apart. What were you saying just now? Fortune is on your side. Houchin spoke in a flat tone, as if interrogating a prisoner. You think putting on that ring makes you unstoppable? Jack's face turned deep red. Every muscle in his body strained against the pressure, and his spine creaked under the invisible gravity. Don't waste your energy. You will never stand up. Within this 10-meter radius, I hold absolute dominance. Damn it, Jack snarled through clenched teeth. Who exactly are you? Even on the brink of death, he still spewed insults. Houchin shook his head faintly, his expression indifferent. Someone stronger than you. Houchin stood up and picked up the ring of strength lying on the ground. The system panel opened automatically. Ring of strength. Remaining uses 3/3. He weighed it in his hand, then stowed it into his system backpack. That ring belongs to me. Jack's eyes bulged. It's my loot. You coward, give it back. Yours? Call its name and see if it answers you. If it calls back to you, I'll hand it over. Houchin turned and waved toward the teaching building. Footsteps echoed from the 3rd-floor stairwell. First came Luo Qianqian, then Lin Jiao, then Su Qinglan. Next was Su Mian, who had just returned from the teaching building, sweat beading on her forehead, a triumphant look on her face. Then Lin Weiwei and Yao Zhang Nuo. Every girl from their class filed out one after another. Each of them carried something: brooms, baseball bats, mop handles, fire hammers. Though their gear looked like supplies for a dorm clean up, the collective pressure they brought crashed over Jack and his group. 30 girls stopped 10 meters away, forming a semicircle and boxing the 10 men in the center. Suemo also walked down from the building. Behind her were Dazhuang, Aunt Wang, Xiaoxue, several elderly folks, and a few young adults. Suemo stood 10 meters away, looking down at Jack on the ground. Her lips pressed into a thin line, and she said nothing for a long moment. Jack's face was pressed against the dirt, yet he still refused to back down. Just you bunch of women. Women? Su Mian stepped forward and crouched, anger burning in her eyes. You were shouting loud enough chasing us. Charge. Get them. Where's all that fire now? You're curled on the ground like beaten dogs. You wretched woman. Watch your tongue. Houchin cut in coldly. His gaze swept over the men sprawled on the ground, his tone sharp with warning. You are the ones on your knees, and you are the ones hurling insults. Do you want me to repeat every foul word you've spoken? Jack tried to retort, but the words died in his throat. Hilton suddenly lifted his head, twisting awkwardly in an attempt to scramble to his feet, shouting curses. Damn you. You have no idea who you're dealing with. If I get the chance, I'll kill every last one of you. Before he could finish, Houchin planted his boot on his shoulder. Thud! Hilton's face slammed back into the dirt. Dust filled his mouth, leaving him gasping and choking, unable to speak another word. I don't want to hear any more cursing. Houchin's tone remained calm. I have one demand. Agree, and I'll spare your lives. Refuse, and I'll tear your aircraft apart for scrap, and throw all of you to serve as bait for the strange creatures. At those words, the breathing of the 10 men on the ground grew visibly ragged. They knew exactly what being thrown to the strange creatures meant. Jack closed his eyes, his chest heaving. 3 seconds passed. Then he opened his eyes again, his rage subsiding. State your terms. A faint smile tugged at Houchin's lips. Cooperate like this from the start, and none of this needed to happen. Listen, I'm not a cruel person. All I want is to live a quiet, ordinary life. Hand over all your food and water. Houchin spoke with deliberate reasonableness. I've got elders and children to look after, plus all these girls. Our food and water consumption is huge. Hand over your supplies, and I'll let you leave. Jack's face contorted. Absolutely not. We fought and scavenged for every bit of this. If we give it all to you, what will we eat and drink? Enraged by his defiance, Suemo pointed at him and snapped. How dare you talk about scavenged supplies? You stole all of it from others. The tables have turned now. Remember, you are the ones at a disadvantage. Xiaoxue chimed in beside her. You're bad people. You kept chasing us, and you still refused to give up your supplies. Aunt Wang and the elderly men also berated Jack and his companions. They had been hunted all day, living in constant fear. The children cried, and the elders were in poor health. Yet these men still refused to yield. Overwhelmed by pressure, Jack finally agreed. If he could survive, he could regroup later. Still pinned on the ground, the men opened their system backpacks. For crates of water, 2 crates of biscuits, a full crate of refrigerated steak, and half a crate of military rations appeared. This was their total stockpile. At the sight of food and water, Suemo, the elders, and the children surged forward. They pried open the water crates. Xiaoxue, her lips dry, unscrewed a bottle and drank greedily. Dazhuang tore open biscuit wrappers and ate ravenously. Seeing everyone finally able to eat, Suemo felt relieved. Though they had small reserves of their own, they had been forced to ration strictly. Now, faced with such a large haul, they allowed themselves to eat and drink their fill. Still trapped on the ground, Jack called out. All right, can we go now? Haochen glanced towards Suemo, cover Xiaoxue's eyes. We're finishing this. Cover her eyes for letting us go. What trick are you playing? Jack shouted furiously. Haochen twirled his combat dagger in his hand. An elder once told me, take lives, but do not torment. So rest easy. As the dagger's tip aimed toward him, Jack's face drained of all color. The blade sliced cleanly across his neck. It was over in 2 seconds. As for the other 9, Haochen stood and flicked blood from his dagger. The same treatment. Next came the distribution of supplies. Haochen's group had borne the brunt of the fight. Su Mian had lured the enemies, and Haochen had suppressed them with stealth. Every part of the plan had been critical. I'll take 3 crates of water, 1 crate of biscuits, and all the refrigerated steak. Suemo, you get 1 crate of water and 1 crate of biscuits. He glanced pointedly at Suemo as he spoke. Suemo was wiping biscuit crumbs from Xiaoxue's mouth. She blinked, then nodded firmly. All right, no complaints. What about the 300 universal parts you promised me? Haochen asked. Got them. Suemo pulled up her system backpack. 300 faintly, blue glowing universal parts lined her interface. I'll transfer them right now. She swept her finger across the virtual screen. Haochen's system panel popped up a notification. Received gifted supplies. Universal parts times 300 added to the 200 parts he got from dismantling the helicopter. He now had 500 total. More than enough parts to upgrade the aircraft. Haochen closed his system interface. Once they had eaten their fill, Suemo's group turned toward Haochen. Suemo stepped forward and bowed deeply. Thank you, Haochen. Without you, we never would have shaken those persistent pursuers. I know you still hold some wariness toward us, and I understand you'll leave soon. We won't forget what you did for us today. Beside her, Xiaoxue smiled innocently. Thank you, Brother Haochen. I won't forget either. They headed for the school gate. Suemo hung back, her gaze sincere as she placed a hand over her chest. I thought everyone had turned cold-hearted in this world. What you did changed my mind. Please take this. She walked over and gently pressed a kiss to Haochen's cheek. You said you didn't want a physical bond, so I give you my first kiss instead. At the very least, until my last day, you will hold the highest place in my heart. After the kiss, she waved and hurried to catch up with the others. Haochen stood frozen, brushing a finger over the damp spot left on his cheek. A teasing voice rang out from upstairs. Look at Haochen. He hasn't even won over the girls in our class, and he's already receiving kisses from someone else. Quite the heart he has. The tone was unmistakably Lin Weiwei's. She tossed her long hair over her shoulder. Haochen looked up at her. That can be arranged. How about you give me your first kiss? Taming our sharp-tongued troublemaker might be fun. Who are you calling a troublemaker? Lin Weiwei pouted, pink flushing across her cheeks. Class monitor Lin Xiao stepped over and patted her shoulder. Enough bickering. It's noon. Let's search the school for usable supplies. What we just gained won't last us a full month. We need more resources. Come on, time to loot the building. Su Mian's impatient voice cut through. She darted into the office building lobby, scanned the area, and waved toward the stairwell. First floor is empty. Head straight for the second floor. Haochen pulled a dismantling table from his system backpack and set it against a wall. Leave any heavy iron objects here to break down. We'll get as much metal as we can. Got it. The girls split into small teams, rummaging through drawers and prying open cabinets room by room. Hao Chen joined Cheng Yinyan to check several offices. Over here, Cheng Yinyan crouched before a filing cabinet and pulled open the bottom drawer. 12 bottles of mineral water sat inside, dusty but still sealed. Great, and they haven't expired. Every little bit counts. Let's pack them up. Zhang Nua stepped forward. The three quickly stored all the water in their system backpacks. Su Mian's loud shout echoed from the next room. Whoa, clothes. Brand, new with tags still on. Hao Chen peeked in. Cardboard boxes sat in the corner of a storage room, stacked with roughly 20 heavy winter work coats, thick and wind-resistant. Grab them. If we head north later, these could save our lives. Su Mian stuffed 3 straight into her backpack. Hao Chen, this one's locked. Luo Qianqian's voice called from the end of the hallway. He walked over to a metal cabinet secured by a rusted padlock. Hao Chen swung his dagger and snapped the lock clean off, pulling the door open. Inside were 2 large crates of canned luncheon meat, plus a small box of medical gauze and iodophor. We're to store food and medicine together, but this is a huge windfall. While they searched, Hao Chen remained alert. This was one of the largest F-rank zones. Where supplies were abundant, strange creatures also gathered, and hidden rules could trigger at any moment. As everyone hunted for resources, a pair of eyes suddenly snapped open inside the Grey Director's office. After clearing both office buildings, they had gained 60 units of iron and 20 universal parts. The yield of universal parts was disappointingly low, nowhere near what they had gotten from dismantling the helicopter. If they wanted more universal parts in the future, taking apart aircraft would be their best bet. Now the group prepared to move toward the teaching building. Su Mian had lured its monsters away, leaving it vacant, perfect for scavenging. At that moment, a small civilian airliner flew overhead. Hao Chen tilted his head upward and smiled faintly. Hope we cross paths again. If not, I wish you all the best. He thought Suemo was quite reliable. Her ability was detection-based, letting her summon a mechanical dragonfly for aerial scouting. The power itself was modest, but she was dependable. Even burdened with elders and children, she had never given up on survival. She had also kept her word after Jack's defeat. For that reason, Hao Chen had shown her mercy. But anyone who acted like Jack and his men would meet only death at his hands. Once we finish searching the teaching building, we'll go to the aircraft site to dismantle and upgrade it. Hao Chen set his hands behind his head and sighed, a relieved smile spreading across his face. Finally, we can get the aircraft upgraded to level 2 within the 3-day protection window. At the front of the group, Luo Qianqian slipped an arm around Cheng Yinyan's waist and gave her side a light squeeze. Yinyan, tell me honestly, what kind of men do you dislike? Cheng Yinyan jolted at the touch, her face flushing bright red to the tips of her ears. Vice, class monitor, should I really say? Why not? Luo Qianqian leaned closer, her warm breath brushing Cheng Yinyan's ear. We're just chatting. We all have little secrets among us girls. Cheng Yinyan twisted strands of her hair between her fingers, speaking so softly it was almost a murmur. Ones who hesitate and beat around the bush all the time. Wow. Luo Qianqian's eyes lit up. We share the exact same taste. Men who drag their feet and overcomplicate every conversation are exhausting just to listen to. Cheng Yinyan shook her head, her cheeks burning hot. That's not quite what I meant about their personality. Silence fell for 2 seconds. Su Mian halted mid-step. Lin Jiao blinked. Luo Qianqian's mouth fell open in shock. Whoa, Ninian, you really think differently. Luo Qianqian pinched her arm lightly. You mean their manner of doing things, right? Cheng Yinyan curled her toes inside her shoes, staring at the ground. Yes. Good grief. Luo Qianqian nearly jumped, glancing toward the tall young man at the rear of the group. We have the perfect example right here. Hao Chen is decisive. Remember when you helped him pick out clothes the other day? Have you been thinking about him? No, that's not it. Cheng Yinyan waved her hands frantically, her ear tips scarlet. Then what is it? Luo Qianqian teased, leaning in. Is it his looks? His cold demeanor? Or something else? You can tell me, I won't spread it around. Heat flooded Cheng Yinyan's whole body. Memories replayed in her mind. How Hao Chen had taken charge the day they arrived in this world, his cold resolve in battle, and the rare moments of gentleness he showed toward them. All those fragments formed an image that kept her awake late at night. She admired his straightforward, no-nonsense way of handling everything. Unlike some men who beat around the bush endlessly in words and in actions, Cheng Yinyan's face burned hotter and hotter as she thought about it, twisting the hem of her clothes tightly between her fingers. Lin Jiao noticed she was so flustered she almost wanted to sink into the ground and finally stepped in to defuse the situation. All right. Qianqian, you're digging for gossip way too hard. Leave some mystery for later, won't you? Luo Qianqian finally backed off, winking at Cheng Yinyan. Fine, I'll listen to the class monitor. But Yinyan, remember, if that day ever comes, I'll be your bridesmaid. Cheng Yinyan ducked her head even lower, yet the heat rising inside her refused to fade. The teasing stopped there. The group had walked across the playground and reached the glass doors of the teaching building lobby. Creak. Rust-eaten hinges screeched, and dust showered down from the top of the doorframe. Lin Jiao waved a hand in front of her nose, coughing. Cough. How long has it been since anyone was here? The lobby was vast and empty. Corridors stretched off on both sides, most classroom doors half ajar. Darkness loomed inside, with overturned desks and chairs faintly visible. Hao Chen stepped over the threshold and scanned the area. There's nothing valuable on the first floor. Haul all usable desks and chairs to the deconstruction station. Scrape as much iron as we can get. What about these? Lin Weiwei kicked a moldy school uniform in the corner and frowned in disgust. Not even a dog would wear this. Moldy uniforms are worthless. They take up backpack space and bring no benefit. Zhang Nuo glanced down both ends of the hallway and turned to Cheng Yinyan. Yinyan, use your talent to scan this area? Cheng Yinyan nodded and was about to crouch down when Hao Chun spoke up to stop her at once. Strip every metal object in the whole building. Table legs, cabinet handles, iron window frames. Carry whatever you can. Save Cheng Yinyan's talent for higher value spots. There's no point wasting it here. Hearing that Hao Chun was looking out for her, Cheng Yinyan's heart beat faster. The group split up. Su Mian kicked open the nearest classroom door, picked up a chair and hefted it. Whoa, iron legs. Pretty heavy. Lin Jiao pushed open the room opposite. Her eyes fell on several rusted metal lockers in the corner. She opened one, only to be met with rotten, stinking apples and a few small cockroaches inside. Lin Jiao jumped back 2 steps in shock. The moving work went on for nearly 20 minutes. Everyone made 2 or 3 trips, piling dismantled table legs, cabinet doors and iron window frames on the open ground outside the teaching building entrance. Hao Chen squatted beside the deconstruction station, feeding items into it one by one. Iron times 2, iron times 3, iron times 1. Numbers kept jumping upward. Each piece was small, but they added up in quantity. When the tally finished, they had gathered nearly 50 units of iron. Not bad. Hao Chen brushed dust off his hands. This iron is enough to patch up several scratch wounds. We should stock up more. It will come in handy sooner or later. Just as everyone sat on the steps to rest, their system panels popped up at high speed. Huh? What's going on now? I bet it's the final day of the protection period. The system must have some announcement. Maybe we get rewards for surviving 3 days. Some survivors didn't even make it past day 1. We've been pretty lucky. While they were speculating, a line of blood-red text appeared before their eyes. Warning. Alert triggered. You have disturbed the minor boss of this zone. Flight for your aircraft has been restricted. Flight permission will only be restored once the minor boss is defeated. Boss. Grade. Level Director. What the heck? Zhang Nuo clutched her head, staring at the message on her system panel. What kind of bad luck is this? Our flight is locked down. That means we can't take off. We can't leave until we beat this guy, right? Lin Jiao nodded. That seems to be the case. If we want to get out of this school, we have to defeat the grade level director to regain flight permission. Su Mian waved her hand, looking calm. No big deal. Remember what kind of resource zone this is. It's only rank F. That director is probably rank E at most. And look how many of us in this class have awakened talents. Our class monitor, me, our head teacher, Luo Qianqian, Zhang Nuo the art committee member, Cheng Yinyan, Hao Chun, and Yao with underwater adaptation, and Su Yu with energy cooking. That's 9 awakened talents in total. What have we got to fear? After hearing Su Mian's words, most of their worry faded. You're right. With our S, rank class monitor, and the head teacher's protective barrier, we've got nothing to be afraid of. Taking down this director will be as easy as squashing an ant. Lin Weiwei added. Yeah, nothing to worry about. With the monitor on our side, everything will work out. And Hao Chen too. He has invisibility and gravity abilities. Our team is pretty strong. Meanwhile, Hao Chen focused his attention on the minor boss, the grade level director. If it qualifies as a boss, its power level won't compare to ordinary anomalous creatures, and it's triggered special rules. Our aircraft flight is blocked. We cannot leave unless we defeat it. Right then, more red text surfaced on the system panel. Enemy forces will assault your aircraft at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Defend your vehicle and your teammates. Repel and defeat the boss to escape this area. Good luck. Whoa, they're going straight for our base. And they'll show up at 6 tomorrow morning. Hao Chen thought things over. Their search across 2 office buildings and 1 teaching building was mostly done. They had collected plenty of iron and clothing. Most importantly, there was still an aircraft on the runway that hadn't been deconstructed. We need to prioritize upgrading our plane. We have no idea what tricks this director will pull tomorrow. Right now, boosting the aircraft's level is our top priority. Having settled on his plan, Hao Chen looked over at the girls chatting among themselves. All right, everyone. Today's scavenging is finished. Go back and get something to eat. We got a whole crate of refrigerated steak we can enjoy tonight. As for fuel, before Hao Chen finished speaking, Lin Weiwei pulled a whole crate of sorted books and waste paper out of her system backpack. Fuel? We've got plenty right here. She planted her hands on her hips, showing her sharp canine teeth. I've hated these books for ages. I've wanted to burn them for a long time. Watching them turn to ash, seeing all that written knowledge drift away, watching dense lines of ink turn into useless dust, it feels amazing. At those words, Su Qinglan shuddered slightly. She had never realized how much pressure her students were under. And she was not the only one who felt that way. Luo Qianqian, Zhang Nuo, Su Yu, and Yao, Su Mian, and several others. Each pulled crates of books they had collected earlier from their backpacks. Su Mian smiled at the pile of books on the ground. This isn't a place for school anymore. Let's turn all of this into ashes. Come on, girls, let's go back and grill steak. Seeing her students using textbooks as fire fuel, Su Qinglan's mouth twitched. Afternoon. Sizzle. The moment the iron griddle turned red, whole steaks were laid on top. Grease splattered loudly, filling everyone's ears. Rich aroma burst forth at once, carried by the wind into every nose. Damn. Su Mian squatted beside the fire, staring intently at the browning meat, swallowing hard. It's been so long since I smelled something this good. Lin Weiwei squatted opposite her, holding a sharpened branch as chopsticks, prodding the edge of the griddle anxiously. Flip it. The edges are burning. Quit rushing me. Steaks take time. They don't cook the second you open your mouth. Who are you calling a fast-cooking mouth? Stop it. Lin Jiao held both girls back with one hand each, and flipped the steak neatly with her branch. If you keep bickering, you two only get the burned edges. And Yao fanned the flames nearby, while Zhang Nuo fed waste paper and books into the fire one by one. Flames curled over the pages, sending gray, black ash swirling upward. Watching the floating ash, Luo Qianqian grinned. This feels so good. Burning books is incredibly satisfying. No homework, no classes, this is wonderful. Su Qinglan stood apart from the crowd, watching her students burn valuable books for fuel. Still, she did not stop them. The books were useless, but the meat was real. Some distance away, Hao Chun did not join the feast. He stood beside the aircraft and took out 500 glowing blue universal parts from his system backpack. They lay neatly spread across the ground. Upgrade. Detected 500 times universal parts. Confirm upgrading flight vehicle? Confirm. Hao Chun tapped the aircraft. Upgrade prompt without hesitation. As the parts streamed into the airframe, the whole plane shuddered. Rust across its metal surface faded visibly, replaced by matte fresh paint. The plane's outline tightened slightly. Loose wing joints clicked firmly into place. Better still was the cabin. The newly upgraded air conditioning system kicked on, replacing stifling warmth with cool fresh air. Tears and rips on the seats repaired themselves. Cushions plumped up, looking factory new. Fine cracks on the windshield vanished, leaving perfectly clear glass. The cabin grew cleaner and roomier overall. The aircraft gained 5 meters in length. A rear storage compartment had been added, capable of holding and refrigerating food supplies. Once the upgrade completed, Hao Chin's system panel popped up. Upgrade complete. Current level, 2. Durability plus 500. Current durability, 1000/1000. Fuel tank capacity, 1000 L 2000 L. Full, fuel flight range, 1,600 kilometers. Cruising speed, 180-240 kilometers per hour. Minimum low, altitude recon speed, 180 kilometers per hour. Weapon hardpoint, 1 light. Weapon slot unlocked. Radar detection radius, plus 50%. We finally got it to level 2 within the 3-day protection period. Hao Chun ran a hand along the wing edge. Cheers drifted over from the griddle. It's done. This one is mine. Give me your stick, my piece is still bleeding. Who spilled the salt? Hao Chun glanced back. 30 people crowded around the metal griddle, fighting over steak. Firelight painting their faces, grease glistening at the corners of their mouths. Su Mian had grabbed the largest piece. Lin Weiwei, having lost out, squatted off to the side, rolling her eyes. Even head teacher Su Qinglan could not resist. She tore off a small bite, chewed, and paused. This actually tastes pretty good. Hao Chun leaned against the upgraded aircraft wing, arms folded, watching the group. Smoke, fire, laughter, these were exactly what he needed. Still, a tough battle waited for them tomorrow. No one knew exactly how strong that grade-level director boss was. What abilities did it possess? How much health did it have? Could it summon strange powers? None of that information was available. Well, this is only a rank F resource zone. It can't be overwhelmingly powerful. Once we defeat this minor boss, we'll scavenge whatever remains in the school and get out of here. Before that, we still need to deconstruct the leftover aircraft and use Super Multiplier to duplicate as much fuel as possible. Fuel cannot run low. We need to stockpile as much as we can. Inside the campus grade-level director's meeting room, rows of teachers stood rigidly like corpses. Their clothing was tattered, hair disheveled, eyes hollow and lifeless. Seated in the center, the grade-level director slowly lifted his head. The shine of his balding crown glinted under sunlight. Tomorrow, these humans will forfeit their lives. All teachers and corrupted students will march forth together. Next day, the sun had barely peeked over the runway when Hao Chun stood in the aircraft doorway. He had not slept straight through the night like everyone else. Instead, he woke every 2 hours to keep watch. Only 10 minutes remained before 6 o'clock. Hao Chun swiped, bringing his system panel into view. Daily ability roll complete. Today's ability, Void Slash. Effect, condense light into a blade. Close. Range slashes can tear anomalous creature flesh and even cut through light aircraft hull plating. Usages per day, 10. Nice, this is exactly the offensive skill I've been hoping for. Hao Chun smiled faintly. Good thing. Up till now I haven't had a proper attacking power. Let's see what this ability can do against these foes. He now possessed evasion, crowd control, attack, and duplication. His luck had been solid. None of his drawn abilities were useless. Meanwhile, alerted by head teacher Su Qinglan, all the girls got up. They freshened up with scavenged toiletries and stepped out of the aircraft. Su Mian stretched widely. The level 2 plane seats are really soft. We can even adjust them. No more sore backs from sleeping. The moment class, Monitor Lin Jiao stepped out. She did not comment on comfort. Her gaze fixed toward the main university buildings. That's strange. Why is the sky dark over there? Look, everyone. She pointed toward the university grounds. Outside the campus, dawn spilled soft golden light. But above the teaching buildings inside the campus, light was being swallowed away layer by layer. Dark storm clouds roiled outward, like the end of the world. They're coming. Luo Qianqian stood by the cabin entrance, pressing her temples. Her eyes stayed shut, but her eyelids fluttered rapidly. I sense massive dark energy. At least 40 hostiles, no. She paused. Even more than that. Hao Chun did not turn toward her. His eyes locked on the teaching building exit. The first figure to emerge was the grade-level director. The shine of his bald crown stood out starkly in the dim light. He wore a crumpled gray suit with a lopsided tie, clutching an empty thermos cup. Behind him marched 4 other figures in rumpled suits, moving more nimbly, almost human-like. Further back stood dozens more silhouettes in formal, tattered clothing. They walked in disjointed postures, some hunched, some heads tilted, puppet-like and devoid of vitality. From side passages of the teaching building, hundreds of anomalous creatures in faded school uniforms poured out. Their movements were stiff, shambling forward like walking corpses. Are they saying something? Lin Weiwei spoke up. Prompted by her words, everyone listened closely. Hundreds of mouths moved in unison, blending into murky noise. If you strained to hear, fragmented phrases could be made out. Too much homework, I don't want to do homework. I have to go on 6 internships, I don't want to do internships. I'm graduating next year, I don't want to graduate. Dad, give me money. Retake classes are full. I don't want to retake courses. The corrupted students mumbled these complaints. The teachers' voices were clearer, carrying echoes of living human frustration. When will we get pay raises? Can't we get holidays to go home? Don't make me stay in the office grading documents. Please do well on final exams. Don't fail. Working from dawn till dark. Overtime every single day. Every murmur reflected real, world grievances. All the girls turned toward their head teacher Su Qinglan. Teacher, do you feel those frustrations too? Fine beads of sweat formed on Su Qinglan's forehead. She nodded awkwardly. Of course I do. Those struggles are very common. Aren't you students dealing with the same things? Hearing this, the girls glanced at one another with awkward smiles. Su Mian, the sports committee member, let out a short laugh after hearing their laments. So what we're fighting is a school full of aggrieved spirits. Hao Chun ignored her remark and turned to address the girls. Everyone with awakened talents, line up beside me. Those without awakened abilities, grab your weapons and guard the aircraft. Do not let them damage it. Avoid unnecessary risk. Retreat when needed. We have iron to make repairs, so prioritize keeping casualties to zero. A sharp glint appeared in Hao Chen's eyes. The great battle is about to begin. Su Mian stood 3 paces to his left, gripping a baseball bat and lowering her stance. Lin Jiao took position on his right, fists clenched, her S-rank flesh, toughen ability activating beneath her skin. Behind them, head teacher Su Qinglan unfurled a purple defensive barrier. Its edge pressed against the cabin door, shielding the aircraft entrance and leaving only a controlled front for combat. 50 meters away, the grade-level director came to a halt at the head of the horde. He tilted his head and glanced at Hao Chen, then at the brand new upgraded aircraft behind him, falling silent for 2 seconds. Then he opened his mouth and said something completely different from what the other eerie creatures had said. "Classmate, you're late, so all of you will lose your lives right here today." Hao Chen said nothing. He glanced down at his dagger, then lifted his gaze to meet the grade director's eyes. "Sorry, bald-headed old man. I haven't graduated yet, so it's you who are going to die." The moment those words left his mouth, the 2 sides instantly bristled for battle. The grade director roared toward the sky, stretched out his arms, and ordered the teachers behind him. "All of you attack. Destroy their aircraft and capture them alive." Understood. A dozen female teachers sprinted forward at tremendous speed. They spoke in unison. "Wraith College students, move out." In the blink of an eye, the college students lying in wait in the rear charged forward like madmen. Their eyes were bloodshot, devoid of all humanity. Each of them moved like walking corpses. Watching the horde of eerie creatures surge toward them, Lin Weiwei's hands tightened around her baseball bat, trembling. Her eyes fixed on Hao Chen's back. So did Cheng Yinyan. She feared Hao Chen might get hurt in the fight, but those worries were unnecessary. Perfect timing. I've been hoping for a good fight. From this moment on, this battlefield belongs to me. Hao Chen lifted his face toward the sun, muttering under his breath. "Light blades, grant me your power once more to shield this city." No sooner had Hao Chen finished speaking than 2 glowing, razor-sharp light blades materialized on his forearms. Whoa! Su Ming's jaw dropped the second she saw the light blades on Hao Chen's arms. "Hao Chen, did you steal my light? Everything's gone dark for me. Give my light back." "What are you talking about? I borrowed power from the sun. Quit joking and focus on the danger ahead." At that moment, hundreds of students swarmed forward. Claws formed in each of their hands, sharp enough to tear flesh apart. Useless. In the next instant, Hao Chen swung his light blades, forming a cross-shaped slash. The attack cut through the enemies with overwhelming piercing force. Before the charging college students could even touch Hao Chen, their hands were severed from their bodies. Heads, arms, legs, and other body parts were sliced clean apart by the light blades without exception. "Wow, that's insane. Your ability is totally overpowered. Guess I'd better pull my weight too." After praising him, Su Ming gripped her baseball bat tightly. "Let me see which of you is causing all the trouble." Su Ming tensed her leg muscles and burst forward with explosive force. She raised her baseball bat and raced straight toward one of the creatures. Swinging hard just as one would in baseball, she sent the eerie creature's head flying. Su Ming darted nimbly through the fray. Thanks to her speed advantage, none of the eerie creatures could catch up to her. Besides, all these creatures were only F rank. The strongest among them was the grade director, a B rank adjacent entity. On the other side, the class monitor fought hard to carve out a path through the horde. Endowed with remarkable physical resilience, any gashes the claws tore open on his body healed rapidly. Scattered eerie creatures lunged in from every direction. Seeing how fiercely Hao Chen fought, Lin Weiwei refused to stand idly by. "Humph, bring it on. I'm not afraid of you." Lin Weiwei swung her baseball bat and smashed it hard against one creature's head. Cheng Yinyan took deep breaths, waiting for openings to land lethal blows. Head teacher Su Qinglan observed the battle from the aircraft steps. When one eerie creature tried to ambush Lin Weiwei, Su Qinglan quickly wrapped a purple protective shield around her. Once Lin Weiwei realized what had happened, she struck the creature hard. "Thank you, teacher." Having pulled the student out of danger, Su Qinglan scanned the field. The attacking students were only the opening act. The real threat came from the teachers. The Chinese teacher began chanting under her breath, "Ghostly howl." Instantly, several ferocious gray wolves wreathed in black mist appeared beside her. "Kill." Seeing a teacher capable of summoning creatures, Hao Chen looked faintly surprised. "Interesting, you recite idioms to summon monsters. That really fits the stereotype of a Chinese teacher. But your rank is far too low." Hao Chen wielded his light blades once more. The moment his cross-shaped slash flew forth, the wolves were sliced clean in two. The Chinese teacher was cut to pieces on the spot. Watching her companion perish at Houchin's hands, the math teacher's face twisted with rage. 81 multiplication formula, come forth. She slammed her palm against the ground. Immediately, 81 wraith, like college students, thrust their arms up from beneath the earth and clambered out. Whoa, more summons. The Chinese teacher summons monsters with idioms, and the math teacher uses multiplication rhymes to call forth wraith students? That's something else. Su Ming gasped in shock at the sight. It looks like we have to defeat these teachers first. Chinese teachers summon with phrases, math teachers with multiplication rhymes. Just imagine what English, PE, biology, and physics teachers could do. Wait, don't forget the history teacher. Houchin's mind raced. If she chanted something like Battle of Chibi, she wouldn't summon mere dozens of wraith students. She would bring forth entire armies. The math teacher alone had just called up 81 crawling ghosts. If the history teacher shouted, burn one's boats, this whole place would turn into an ancient battlefield. We can't wait any longer. Everyone, fall back 10 steps. Su Ming pushed off the ground and retreated the instant she heard the order. Lin Jiao grabbed Lin Weiwei and Cheng Yinyan by their arms and pulled them backward. Su Qinglan shrank her barrier inward by 3 meters, establishing it close to the cabin door to create a buffer zone. Houchin took a deep breath and crossed his arms across his chest. Sorry, I wanted to be a good student, but I can't do that anymore. 5-fold cross slash. In an instant, both his hands blazed, and light blades formed along his forearms. At the same time, the PE teacher in his red tracksuit clutched a blackened whistle and lifted it to his lips. The moment he was about to blow it, the playground ground began to shake, as if hordes of resentful students complaining about fitness tests would surge forth. Slash. At that single word, the 5-fold cross-shaped slash erupted outward in all directions with overwhelming power. Every living thing touched by the light blades was cut apart. Right as the PE teacher prepared to blow his whistle, his arm was sliced off, followed by his neck, waist, and thighs. The biology teacher, physics teacher, music teacher, and the others met the same fate. Their bodies were cut, torn apart, and disintegrated almost simultaneously. Wherever the light blades passed, nothing survived. For F, rank, and E, rank creatures, this attack was nothing short of a disaster. 3 seconds of silence fell over the playground. After all the teachers were slain, the hundreds of remaining Wraith College students moved sluggishly. They no longer charged in unison. They stood swaying in place, mumbling words. What's left are just minor foes. Houchin exhaled in relief as he looked at the remaining enemies. He had only 4 uses of his light blades left. Houchin turned toward the cabin door, where Su Qinglan's shield still held firm. Those without awakened talents can head out now. Don't wander too far. Strike with your weapons, avoid direct confrontation, and keep dodging. The wandering Wraith students could be disposed of quickly. One well-aimed blow to their vital points would destroy them completely. In less than 10 minutes, peace returned to the area. Only one eerie creature remained. Somehow, the grade director had dragged a chair over and sat down on the open ground before the teaching building. He had not moved once, merely watching Houchin fight his way through the teachers all the way to the history teacher's fall. Now he finally shifted his gaze toward Houchin. Your ability is light blades. You can only use it 10 times a day. The grade director's voice was nothing like it had been before. You just used 6, leaving 4, correct? Houchin said nothing, staring straight into his eyes. Reading his hesitation, the grade director stood and smoothed his crumpled gray suit jacket. Then it is time for your teacher to play with you. In that instant, Houchin sensed an aura emanating from the grade director unlike anything from the creatures they had fought before. C rank? No, not an ordinary C rank. This is a creature nearing B rank. Boy, let me give you a friendly warning. Your current conduct counts as disrespect toward your instructors. Therefore, I must deliver the harshest punishment. Either you die here, or all of your companions perish alongside you. The grade director rose fully from his chair. He drew in a deep breath, and immense energy burst forth. I have finally advanced to B rank. Now it is your time to die. Do not blame your teacher for being cruel. Blame yourselves for trespassing where you ought not to have gone. What are you rambling on about? Su Ming rested both hands behind her head, a disdainful smirk playing across her lips. We paid no mind to those F rank and E rank foes. What makes you so proud just for being a B rank eerie creature? Besides, you cannot outrun me, wanna bet? Insolent. The grade director roared in anger. He snapped his fingers. Dozens of large, powerfully built male college students materialized. These 10 are students once given disciplinary sanctions. Lazy, apathetic, and failing their courses, they became wraiths after death. He pulled out a small notebook and pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose. This journal records every student who got into trouble. Today I shall summon all of them. Amuse me for a while. Just as he was about to begin summoning more students, an overwhelming invisible pressure crashed over everyone. Thud! 11 bodies slammed hard onto the concrete ground at once. The grade director's face smashed into the pavement. His glasses slid off his nose and landed in the dust a short distance away. He tried to push himself up with his elbows, yet the gravity bore down so heavily he could not even lift his neck. He could only tilt his head, glaring furiously at empty space from the ground. It was then a figure crouched down in front of him. The grade director's eyes widened in shock. Houchin was squatting directly before him, face to face. His knees were nearly touching the man's nose. You. The grade director forced the words out through gritted teeth, his fingers scraping furiously at the concrete, nails filled with dirt. You only possess one ability. His voice came out hoarse and strained against the ground. Light blades. That is all you have. Houchin tilted his head and stared at him for 2 seconds, looking at him as if he were an idiot. Who told you that? My glasses data says you gain only one new ability per day. Houchin nodded. That's right, one per day? I never said I only used today's. A strangled sound caught in the grade director's throat. What? Yesterday's. The day before. The one before that. Houchin held up 3 fingers, folding them down one by one. Gravity, invisibility, light blades, replication. I have 4 abilities at my disposal today. Did you think I only had one blade? Houchin almost laughed. Who would be foolish enough to rely on just one weapon for every fight? The grade director's eyes twitched. His body remained pinned under crushing gravity. The 10 summoned sanctioned students also lay twisted on the ground, some face down, some on their sides. A few still kept their arms outstretched. Also, Houchin stood and looked down at him. When you spoke of those 10 disciplined students, you gave away your secret. You need to flip through your journal to summon them. Interrupt you from turning its pages, and you cannot summon a thing. Am I correct? Realizing this, the grade director panicked. Houchin stepped on his journal, twisting it slightly under his toe. My gravity crush is far beyond what you can resist. You would need to be S rank to break free. Unfortunately for you, you are merely B rank. So sorry. Houchin gripped his dagger, crouched down, and aimed it at the neck. This examination today, grade director, you have failed. As his words ended, the dagger plunged downward. The grade director's form dissolved into black smoke across the concrete pavement. The swirling smoke struggled for a moment before being scattered by the wind. The 10 male students also dissolved into smoke and vanished. Left lying on the ground were his glasses and a crystal fragment. A drop item? Houchin picked them up out of curiosity, and a system panel materialized before his eyes. Rare, grade, analytical glasses. Effect. When worn, they can analyze targets' talents and eerie creature ranks. This is quite useful. When we meet other survivors later, I will be able to see their talent ranks right away. A faint smile tugged at Houchin's lips. He stored the glasses in his system backpack, then stowed the crystal fragment as well. Crystals could be used to awaken talents. The small journal had vanished along with the grade director. Above the campus, sunlight finally broke past the heavy cloud line and spilled across the running track. Over by the aircraft, Su Ming leaned against its metal hull and waved at him. Houchin, we're done. Hurry back for breakfast. We're all waiting for you. Behind her, the girls sat and stood in small groups. Some gasped to catch their breath, while others squatted drinking water. Relieved smiles spread across all their faces. Lin Weiwei sat on the aircraft steps, inspecting her beloved Kuromi patterned skirt. Ugh, my skirt got torn in several places. It is still wearable, but it looks awful. Such a pretty skirt ruined. Unbelievable. So you walked over, opened a pack of hardtack, and held it up to her mouth. We can search for more skirts later. Your life matters most. We will find plenty of new ones once we keep moving. Touched by her friend's thoughtfulness, Lin Weiwei nodded and bit down on the hardtack. By then Houchin had reached the aircraft. Flight permission had been restored. For the moment, they were safe. They could choose to keep exploring the university grounds if they wished. Yet there was no guarantee what they would encounter next. Other areas might hold additional boss-level foes. Cafeteria lunch ladies, dorm supervisors, the principal, and more. Any further search would mean more brutal fights. Everyone understood the truth. Supplies would not simply fall from the sky. You had to fight for them. Su Ming pulled off her outer short-sleeved shirt, revealing the top she wore underneath. She glanced at a shallow scratch on her collarbone. Darn it. I was running so fast I did not notice I got hit. Not much bleeding, but this wound will take time to heal. Let me help you. I found some hemostatic bandages earlier. Cheng Yin stood up and pulled a roll of hemostatic bandages from her system backpack. Thanks, Yin. Su Ming smiled as Cheng Yin dressed her injury. Looking over his resting companions, Hao Chen asked, "Should we keep exploring Dawn University or take off?" His question set everyone deep in thought. Pressing onward would draw the attention of other boss-level entities. But turning back meant missing out on potential supplies. They were caught in a dilemma. Class monitor Lin Jiao stood up and offered her suggestion. Let me say something. Fewer than 10 of our classmates have awakened talents, and most of those lack offensive power. If we push deeper, we will have to protect our peers while fighting for our own lives, and we cannot keep up with everything. Even Su Ming, who possesses an A-rank speed talent, got hurt in the melee. Further exploration will almost certainly lead to more injuries. I say we call it a day. Once more of our classmates gain combat-oriented talents, we can come back for revenge. The monitor is right. Luo Qianqian stood. We can return when we grow stronger. Right now the strongest foe we have met is only B rank. When we become more powerful, defeating these monsters will be as easy as crushing ants. The vice monitor's reasoning made perfect sense. Well said. Hao Chen approved of their decision. Both thought first of the whole class. Then our exploration of Dawn University ends here for now. My ability uses are limited, and I only have 4 light blade charges left. There is no need to risk heavy losses by pushing deeper. Everyone nodded in agreement. Even the sharp-tongued Lin Weiwei conceded to his judgment. Just as the group began preparing breakfast, a system panel popped up. A voice echoed in all their ears at the same time. Ding! Congratulations, survivors, for surviving the initial 3-day protection period. You will now receive a score based on your performance over these 3 days. Higher scores grant greater rewards. Calculation commences. Scoring in progress. At this moment, everyone's gaze was fixed on the system panel. Lin Weiwei froze mid-motion, about to take a bite of her hard-tack biscuit. The higher the score, the more generous the rewards. Prizes are awarded based on this standard. I never expected that. Lin Jiao sat with her legs together, watching the system panel tally the points. Right then, their final scores appeared. Calculation complete. Flight 522 rating, 95 points. Score breakdown. Eliminated 350F, grade anomalous creatures 20 points. Crashed into 3C, grade anomalous creatures 10 points. Eliminated 1B, grade anomalous creature 20 points. Eliminated 20 survivors, including A rank and B rank talent wielders 30 points. 0 casualties during the 3-day protection period 5 points. Abundant supplies obtained 10 points. Rewards received. 400 low-grade anomalous crystal cores, 2 cartons of instant noodles. Blueprint, aircraft shower room ×1, externally, mounted aircraft light machine gun ×1, 2B, grade anomalous crystals. These are your acquired rewards. Please have the captain claim them. At that moment, a prompt popped up on Hao Chen's system panel. Claim. The instant he tapped it, the rewarded items materialized before everyone's eyes. 2 cartons of braised beef instant noodles appeared in full view of the group. Braised beef instant noodles? Wow, this is way better than scavenging on our own. When we go searching, most of the food is either expired or moldy. We hardly ever find instant noodles, and there are 2 whole cartons. We've hit the jackpot. Su Mian said excitedly and stepped forward to tear open a package. They're even cup-style, big portions that really fill you up. This is amazing, girls. We're so lucky now. What? They're cup-style instant noodles. Is that for real? A crowd of girls swarmed over. Seeing the cup noodles, joy spread across every one of their faces. We can cook these later. That's wonderful. Even though the beef granules aren't real beef, it's still edible and filling. This is a huge win. Luo Qianqian pressed a cup of instant noodles against her chest and exaggeratedly swayed her body. Oh my, I haven't smelled instant noodles in 5 days. Right now this artificial flavor smells better than fancy cologne. Cut it out. Su Mian rolled her eyes. How many people wearing fancy cologne have you even smelled? I've seen plenty even if I haven't experienced it. Luo Qianqian retorted confidently. While everyone was busily sorting out the instant noodles, Zhang Nuo had quietly wandered over to Hao Chen's side. She draped one arm over his shoulder. Hey everyone. Zhang Nuo tilted her chin upward, drawing out her voice lazily. If my 2 partners hadn't swung their blades and cut down those monsters, none of you would be here celebrating instant noodles. Shouldn't we get some recognition for that? She raised an eyebrow and tapped his shoulder lightly. Suyu was the first to catch on. She clasped her hands together and bowed toward Houchen. Thank you, Houchen, for keeping us fed. Puffed. Lin Weiwei nearly choked on her hard-tack biscuit. Suyu, have you no shame? Houchen isn't even that old. Don't call him that. Then what should I call him? Suyu shot her a meaningful glance. Hey, don't even think about competing with me. Ugh, you're being ridiculous. Lin Weiwei flushed and slapped her thigh. Luo Qianqian poked her head out from beside the instant noodle stack, looking Houchen up and down. Wow, Houchen's not just good looking. He's also really tall. That's quite an impressive physical build. Luo Qianqian. Su Mian hurled an instant noodle cup at her. Can you behave yourself in front of everyone? Luo Qianqian dodged, whistling and shaking her head. I was talking about his height. Where did your minds go? You guys think about weird stuff too much. Sure you were. Lin Jiao murmured under her breath. Su Qinglan nodded in agreement. She stood up and walked over to Houchen. Houchen swallowed, looking at his homeroom teacher standing before him in her flight attendant, style pencil skirt, and black stockings. Her figure was curvy. The sight was quite striking. You did really well this time, Houchen. Keep putting in the effort and fight for more chances for our class to survive. As Su Qinglan finished speaking, a faint blush rose to her cheeks. By the way, after things settled down, could you help me with something? I'm having a little bit of, Zhang Nua's eyes twinkled with mischief. Oh, teacher. Zhang Nua circled behind Su Qinglan, resting her chin on her shoulder, her lips close to her ear. What you just said sounds pretty ambiguous. Su Qinglan stiffened, her back going rigid. Zhang Nua's hand slid down from her shoulder to her waist and gave her a light squeeze. Teacher, in that pencil skirt and stockings, Houchen's Adam's apple bobbed several times while he was looking at you. I saw it. Su Qinglan's face burned bright red, color spreading all the way from her ears down to her neck. Zhang Nua, don't talk nonsense. Am I? Zhang Nua stepped around to face her and poked her flushed cheek with a finger. Then why are you blushing? Back at school you were always stern with Houchen, just like a strict discipline supervisor. Now you stutter and can't hold your gaze. When you asked Houchen to help you just now, you dragged out that request for ages. She mimicked Su Qinglan's tone in a high-pitched voice. Houchen, I'm having a little bit of. Zhang Nua. Su Qinglan stamped her foot, her voice cracking. I wanted him to give me a massage. Overusing my ability left my lower back sore. Stop filling your head with inappropriate thoughts. Oh, a massage. Zhang Nua drew out each word, her tone full of teasing. You could have just said so. But why ask him? I know how to give massages too. Let me do it for you right now. I'll make you feel much better. She reached towards Su Qinglan's waist. Su Qinglan jumped backward as if jolted by electricity, twisting her hands nervously behind her back, her voice trembling. You girls, what on earth are you thinking? I am the teacher and he is a student. I would never think such things about him. There are no exceptions. Clear all those silly ideas out of your heads. Zhang Nua tilted her head and drew out a long, oh. That single teasing sound made Su Qinglan's scalp prickle. Her eyes drifted involuntarily toward Houchen, her expression a mix of embarrassment and quiet hope. Houchen said nothing and simply gave a slight nod. Seeing him agree, Su Qinglan could not suppress the smile tugging at her lips, like a little girl who had stolen a piece of candy. She really had overtaxed herself using her ability, and her lower back ached terribly. She still remembered how comfortable Houchen's massage had been the last time, his hands pressing on her sore muscles, easing the tension deep in her body. She shook her head hard, trying to push distracting thoughts out of her mind. Zhang Nua stepped back, satisfied, and shot Su Qinglan a knowing look. Houchen paid little attention to their exchange. His eyes were fixed on the pile of crystal cores on the floor. 400 low-grade crystal cores, what do these do? He stepped forward and picked one up. The system panel automatically popped up. Item, low-grade crystal core. Function, currency for trading at service, zone, style locations. I see. So there are places similar to service zones, even though we haven't found any yet. Once we do, we can get proper rest. With 400 low-grade crystal cores, we have plenty of currency. Houchen smiled faintly and stored all the crystal cores in his system backpack. He was glad they only took up one inventory slot regardless of quantity. That's convenient. Unlimited storage for currency, not bad. Next he looked over the newly obtained blueprint. Blueprint, aircraft shower room. Can be constructed with no material cost. Houchen read the text on the blueprint and grinned. Perfect, no materials required. It's been 5 days since we got here and none of us have had a proper shower. Wasting bottled water for bathing would be terrible. This shower room has a purification function. We can even use stream water for washing. That's really helpful. He stored the blueprint in his backpack. That left the light machine gun and the 2B grade crystal cores. The light machine gun had been mounted to the aircraft, so there was now one on each side. With this firepower, they could defend themselves mid-air if chased. If anyone dares come after us, they'll get a face full of bullets. Don't think Haochin is someone you can push around. Haochin looked at the crystal cores in his palm. Combined with the one dropped by the grade director and another B grade core he had kept earlier, he now had 3 B grade crystal cores and 1 C grade crystal core. Once we're settled on the plane, we can use these cores to awaken new talents. I'm curious whether we might get another S rank talent. Calibration complete. The aircraft will take off. Everyone please sit tight. Haochin set down the microphone and began operating the controls. He adjusted the altimeter, airspeed indicator, and heading gauge, correcting all deviations and resetting the aircraft's base parameters. He turned on the fuel pump and ignited both engines. Deep roars grew steadily louder. The engines ran powerfully and smoothly. The airframe shuddered slightly, building thrust for take-off. This is great. Haochin sighed. Before the upgrade, the captain's seat had been uncomfortable after long periods of sitting. Now it was surprisingly pleasant. The whole cockpit had been refurbished. Every button on the dashboard fit tightly with no loose parts. Take off. Haochin exhaled, released the parking brake, and gently pushed the control stick. The plane taxied forward along the empty runway, accelerating steadily as numbers on the dials raced upward. When wind speed and airspeed reached the required values, he held the stick steady and pulled back. The nose lifted, and the aircraft lifted off the ground. Su Mian leaned back in her seat, looking relaxed. So smooth. Hardly any shaking during take-off. This is only level 2. Imagine what it will be like at level 3 or 4. Maybe we'll even get proper bunk beds. Could be. Luo Qianqian took a big slurp from her cup of instant noodles, soup dribbling at the corner of her mouth. We've got plenty of food and water now. We still have half a crate of chilled steak and half a crate of military rations. We have more than enough to eat. Not long ago, we were scrambling just to find something to survive on. Life is pretty good now. Su Mian sipped her own instant noodle soup. Rich, savory aroma filled the air. I wonder where we are heading next. I wanted to search the school buildings, but most people don't have combat talents and would risk getting hurt. Better to play it safe. Still, out with the old, in with the new. Once the plane cruised steadily, everyone began eating their cooked instant noodles. Chewy noodles and salty broth filled their mouths, bringing faint smiles to every face. To enjoy such hot, satisfying food in the end, times felt like a precious blessing. Okay, we are cruising at 2,000 meters altitude. Radar range has been expanded. No flying anomalous creatures detected. Haochin stretched, unfastened his seatbelt, and activated autopilot. He glanced over at Su Qinglan. She had fallen asleep, breathing evenly. Teacher, you really pushed yourself. Haochin shook his head. She had barely slept the night before, waking every 2 hours to keep watch. Her barrier ability meant she bore a heavy responsibility for keeping everyone safe. He reached out, gently brushed her hair behind her ear, and draped a blanket over her shoulders. The aircraft's air conditioning has been upgraded. It holds a steady temperature between 19 and 20 degrees Celsius, so we won't overheat up high. With that thought, Haochin stepped out of the main cockpit. When he opened the door, he saw the girls all looking content. Su Mian patted her full stomach beside an empty instant noodle cup and burped. Burp, that hit the spot. She looked toward Haochin. Are you hungry? Do you want some instant noodles? We have a hot water heater in the rear storage compartment. I can make you one. Cheng Nian held her half-finished cup of noodles, her face shy. Haochin, if you're hungry, you can have mine. Luo Qianqian turned around laughing. Nian, you practically want to offer yourself to him. Cheng Nian ducked her head, blushing deeply. Haochin cleared his throat. After our score settlement, we obtained 2 B grade crystal cores. Adding the one from the grade director and one I saved earlier, we now have 3 B grade cores and 1 C grade core. It's time to select more people to awaken talents. He paused. I won't make all the choices myself this time. You can nominate candidates. I've seen who has performed well. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone began putting forward names. I nominate Su Jiejia. Luo Qianqian was the first to raise her hand, still holding her noodle fork, pointing toward the back window seat. When we scavenged the office building, she hauled 3 huge stacks of metal table legs back and forth 6 times. Her hands got scraped raw, and she never complained once. All eyes turned toward Su Jiejia. She sat by the window in the back row, dabbing at a band, ate on her fingers. Taken by surprise, she lifted her head, her ears flushing bright red. It was only 6 trips. Only 6 trips. Luo Qianqian stood up excitedly. Do you know how much metal those table legs gave us? 30 pieces. Almost a third of our total metal supply came from her carrying those. Don't downplay it. Su Jia pressed her lips together and finished applying her band aid, a tiny smile tugging at her mouth. Jia definitely deserves it. She always steps in to help when other girls get tired. Lin Jiao nodded in agreement. Su Jia bowed her head, pretending to fold a wet, white packet, her ears turning red all the way down to her neck. Hao Chen jotted down the first name on his list, Su Jia, high stamina, reliable hard worker, quiet contributor. Second, I nominate Bai Xiaoro. Su Mian bounced in her seat and raised her hand. Bai Xiaoro doesn't have a talent yet, but she constantly supports those of us who do. While fighting anomalous creatures, she kept passing us weapons. My baseball bat broke 3 times, and she handed me a new one each time before I even asked. Bai Xiaoro sat behind Lin Jiao. She lowered her head shyly, tucking hair behind her ear. I didn't really do much, I just passed things around. She's also our most careful when sorting supplies. Jiang Nua cut in, shaking a pack of hardtack biscuits. She sorts all our snacks by flavor. She never mixes barbecued flavor with original flavor. Hardly anyone pays that much attention to detail. Hao Chen nodded and wrote down the second name. Bai Xiaoro, logistics organization, supply support, gentle yet dependable. Third, I nominate Fang Yutong. Cheng Yanyan spoke up, louder than usual. Everyone turned toward her. Her face burned red, but she kept going. Fang Yutong. Yesterday she mended clothes for classmates whose outfits got torn during combat. Fang Yutong sat next to Luo Qianqian. She had a round face and soft eyes, and was unwinding a ball of yarn. She paused, lifted her head, and gave Cheng Yanyan a grateful smile. I just had idle hands. Idle hands. Lin Weiwei looked surprised. She fixed my Kuromi dress. 3 big rips, and her stitches are so fine you can barely see them. That's not just idle hands. Exactly, Su Mian chimed in. She can sew. We'll rely on her whenever our clothes get torn. Don't be so modest. Fang Yutong ducked her head and went back to her yarn, unable to hide her smile. Hao Chen wrote down the third name. Fang Yutong, sewing and mending, meticulous attention to detail. Who is the fourth candidate? Hao Chen set down his pen and looked at the group. Nobody spoke. Everyone glanced at one another, waiting for someone else to make a nomination. Since no one else will, I will pick the fourth myself. At his words, the girls without awakened talents all fixed their eyes on Hao Chen. Even the normally proud Lin Weiwei watched him with obvious anticipation. After a short pause, Hao Chen spoke slowly. The person I choose is Lin Weiwei. Me? Hao Chen, are you really picking me? Lin Weiwei jumped to her feet in excitement. Everyone remembered how sharp-tongued Lin Weiwei had been at first, constantly mocking Hao Chen. Still, Hao Chen's choice made sense. First of all was how much she had grown. From its Sundara lass who only talked big but took no real action, Lin Weiwei had grown into a girl ready to prove herself and dare to challenge eerie creatures. Even though an accident had happened back at the hotel, Hao Chun had witnessed her resolve. On top of that, during the fight against other survivors, Lin Weiwei had not flinched. Instead, she had fought tenaciously alongside the group. If she had truly been nothing more than all bark and no bite, Hao Chun would never have reserved this spot for her. That was why Hao Chun had decided to give her the opportunity. I chose you for a reason. I hope you can temper your will through the universal aviation survival. Hao Chun paused. All right, you girls come over to collect your crystal cores. The moment for talent awakening is upon us. Yay! Lin Weiwei threw her hands high into the air, excitement spreading across her face. At that moment, 4 girls stepped forward to stand before Hao Chun. Bai Xiaoro had a gentle disposition, much like a warm-hearted older sister next door. She reached out and picked up a C rank crystal core. Weiwei, you take the B rank one. I'll make do with the C rank. I've seen how much you've improved these days. You've worked really hard. Bai Xiaoro placed the B rank crystal core into Lin Weiwei's palm. Lin Weiwei felt rather embarrassed by Bai Xiaoro's selfless gesture. I can't accept this. You've contributed so much too. You deserve the B rank crystal core. Besides, the higher the crystal core's grade, the more powerful the awakened talent will be. I'll be fine with whatever I get. Come on, don't keep refusing. I'm 1 year older than you. Technically, you ought to call me sister, even though we're classmates. Stop arguing about it. Bai Xiaoro gently closed Lin Weiwei's fingers around the crystal core and gave her a sweet smile. Lin Weiwei's eyes grew slightly misty. Thank you, Xiaoro. Everyone close your eyes. Feel the energy carefully. It will merge into your bodies and unlock your talents. Hao Chun instructed them patiently. Hearing this, Lin Weiwei and the others slowly shut their eyes. Under everyone's gaze, The four standing before them began to sense the energy emanating from the crystal cores. I wonder what talents they will awaken. Even Hao Chun found himself looking forward to it. Just then, the plane system broadcast blared to life. Ding, dong, attention, all passengers. The nearest survivor trading post has refreshed. Coordinates, 2847, 1902. Estimated flight time, 1.5 hours. Services available at the trading post. Fuel refills, equipment repairs, supply exchanges, and lodging, flight docking, and food supplies. It offers a decent resting haven for survivors. A trading post. A glint flickered in Hao Chen's eyes. I never expected something like a survivor trading post to exist. Translated to real, world terms, it's basically a service area. That's perfect. We can get food and swap supplies. Most importantly, there's an inn. We can sleep in proper beds instead of on the plane. Hao Chen nodded, finalizing their next course of action. Having barely escaped from Dawn University, he carried 400 low-grade crystal cores and had been wondering where he could spend them. Now he had the perfect place to use them. Meanwhile, system panels popped up in front of Bai Xiaoro and the rest. Their talents had finished awakening. Su Jejia was the first to open her eyes. She stared down at her hands, then glanced at the row of seats nearby. After 2 seconds of silence, she grabbed the aluminum, alloy backrest of a nearby seat and lifted. The entire chair rose off the floor. Su Jejia. She switched hands and tried again. This time she hoisted the chair straight above her head, as if it were a lightweight plastic stool. Whoa! Su Mian jumped to her feet. Jejia, have you been training weightlifting? No. Su Jejia set the chair down. Confusion on her face gave way to quiet amazement. I can lift heavy things so easily. That chair feels as if it were made of paper. Her system panel materialized before her. Talent. B. Rank super strength. Maximum load capacity increased to 300 kilograms. Able to carry heavy, duty parts, resources, and vehicle components. Su Jejia read the description 3 times to make sure she had not misread it. Then she lifted the chair once more, this time with only one hand. Luo Qianqian slapped her thigh. Jejia, with those slender wrists you can lift a chair one-handed. You're going to be our team's chief cargo handler. She doesn't even look muscular, Lin Jiao added with a laugh. Enemies will let their guard down, and then one punch from Jejia could send them flying 10 meters away. Right? Cute face, great figure, yet she can heft aircraft parts. That contrast is absolutely amazing. Su Mian clapped her hands in delight. Su Jejia's ears turned red, but she could not suppress the smile tugging at her lips. She clenched her fists and murmured, "Leave all the heavy lifting to me from now on." Bai Xiaoro was the second to awaken. When she opened her eyes, her eyelashes fluttered as if she had just woken from a long dream. She lifted her hand, and a faint pink glow hovered above her fingertips. My talent is empathetic soothing. Bai Xiaoro stared at the light, looking equally surprised. I can calm the emotions of low-grade eerie creatures. Maximum of 50 targets at one time. Huh. Su Mian's jaw dropped open. Soothe eerie creatures? Do those things even have emotions that need soothing? They do. Bai Xiaoro smiled gently. They are consumed by resentment. If we soothe them, they might stop attacking people. Su Qinglan stepped out of the cockpit just in time to hear those words and paused mid-step. She had just woken up. Her hair was slightly messy, yet her expression was serious. You can soothe low-grade eerie creatures? That is an extremely valuable ability. If we encounter swarms of F-rank monsters in the future, you can quiet them down. The higher my mental power, the more creatures I can soothe. Bai Xiaoro cupped the pink glow in her palm and let it fade away. I'll give it a try when the time comes. Zhang Nuan nodded while holding an instant noodle fork in her mouth. When we run into weak monsters later, let Xiaoro try calming them first. If that fails, we fight. Fang Yutong opened her eyes third. She stared at her system panel for a beat before bursting into laughter. Precision tailoring? I awaken precision tailoring. Talent. A. Rank precision tailoring. Rapidly mend clothing. Suture items using alternate materials. Repaired items gain increased durability and partial damage resistance. Su Mian leaned over for a look and slapped her thigh. Your regular skill just got upgraded into a superpower. Before you sewed dresses by hand. Now you sew them with your talent. Fang Yutong's eyes crinkled with amusement. So I won't only be mending clothes. I should be able to repair canvas, tents, backpack straps, and more. Even, Luo Qianqian raised an eyebrow. When our gear gets torn in battle, you can fix it right on the spot. No need for replacements. You can stitch on damage resistance directly. I can test that. Fang Yutong was already rummaging through her system backpack for her sewing kit. I'll try it out on my own jacket later. 3 of them had woken up and were testing their new talents. Lin Weiwei still kept her eyes shut. Her hands were pressed together, fingers interlaced, head bowed, lips barely moving as if making a silent wish. Fine beads of sweat dotted her forehead. Even Hao Qin, watching from the side, grew curious. Awakening is taking this long? Could it be? He leaned against the cockpit door and observed quietly. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And then, Lin Weiwei's eyes flew wide open. A flash of golden light streaked across her pupils. Her system panel popped into view immediately. Hao Qin, standing behind her, watched the whole scene unfold. What is this? He pushed off from his leaning posture and stood upright, light gleaming in his eyes. Talent. S. Rank limit simulation. Simulate any person or creature you have seen and wield part of their abilities. Restriction. Each simulation lasts 10 minutes. Hao Qin's pupils constricted. Complete silence hung over the cabin for 2 full seconds before shouts of shock erupted. S rank. Another S rank. Following the class monitor, another S rank talent has appeared. Limit simulation. She can copy other people's abilities? What kind of power is this? Can she even mimic Hao Qin? Lin Weiwei herself was stunned. She glanced down at her hands, then looked toward Hao Qin. Her lips parted, and her voice came out small, still dazed from the shock. Can I simulate anyone? Hao Qin studied her for a short moment. Give it a try. Lin Weiwei closed her eyes, resolved to test the power. She recalled the fight from earlier that morning. I'll try this one. If I can copy anything, this ought to work. The next instant, Lin Weiwei's body began to transform. Height changed first. Normally barely 1.5 meters tall, she stood half a head shorter than Hao Qin. Now her ankles, calves, knees, and thighs visibly lengthened. Her entire skeletal frame stretched. Her clothing grew tight against her body. The hem of her short, sleeved shirt rode upward, exposing a strip of pale midriff. Next, her shoulders broadened. Her formerly narrow shoulders expanded outward. Her upper body shifted from petite to fuller. Her hair also transformed. Her familiar shoulder-length twin tails unraveled and rearranged themselves, twisting into a neat high ponytail at the back of her head. A few loose strands fell beside her cheeks, softening her features. Her cute, childish look melted into elegant, mature poise. Her Kuromi theme skirt morphed into a crisp black pencil skirt that hugged her thighs. Lin Weiwei opened her eyes. Or rather, the version of her shaped after their math teacher opened her eyes. Her gaze was different. Gone was her usual brash energy with its hint of fangs. In its place was cool scrutiny and detachment. She glanced down at her changed figure and twitched the corner of her mouth. This feels so strange. My body feels completely different. Even her voice shifted. Her bright, youthful tone deepened into a rich, magnetic, mature timbre. Su Mian leaned backward sharply and slammed against the seat back. Whoa! Lin Jiao covered her mouth, eyes blown wide. Hao Qin remained by the cockpit door, never taking his eyes off Lin Weiwei throughout the entire transformation. It truly works. Hao Qin nodded in acknowledgement. The math teacher was an eerie entity, and you could simulate her. So your ability applies not only to humans, but to eerie creatures as well. Even transformed, Lin Weiwei retained her playful personality. She turned toward Hao Qin, a glint of mischief in her eyes. Of course, this is an S rank talent. Who would have thought I'd awaken S rank power even with a B rank crystal core? My luck is incredible. You'd better start trying to stay on my good side. Hao Qin. She sat down on a seat and tilted her head toward him. Hao Qin, what do you think of this form of mine? A playful smile played across her lips. Hao Qin watched her display. The transformation was strikingly convincing. You are only simulating another being. This is not your real body. What are you playing at? Lin Weiwei stood and stepped close to Hao Qin. Their bodies pressed together. Every classmate in the cabin witnessed the moment. Even their homeroom teacher Su Qinglan flustered. She herself possessed good looks, yet she would never dare behave so boldly. What? Don't you find this appearance appealing? Or is this not your preferred type? Speak, Hao Qin. She brushed a finger lightly along his cheek, her tone teasing. Just as Hao Qin lifted his hand, Lin Weiwei's simulation abruptly ended. She plopped back down onto the seat. Huh? It ran out of time so fast. Lin Weiwei stared down at her own hands and body in confusion. I'm more comfortable in my real form. That other body felt really odd. Su Mian chimed in. It's probably because this is your first time using it. I had trouble adjusting when I first activated my talent too. Lin Weiwei nodded in understanding. She caught sight of Hao Qin's slightly perplexed expression, stuck out her tongue in a cheeky grimace, and hurried back to her seat. Hao Qin shook his head with a laugh. We will be arriving at the survivor trading post soon. We can dock there for the night and get some proper rest. With those words, he he returned to the main cockpit. Adjusting coordinates, he settled into the pilot's chair and input the target location. 2847, 1902, all set. The plane will now head for those coordinates. Hao Chun let out a breath. That girl Lin Weiwei really was reckless. She had exploited her new simulation power to take the shape of an eerie creature, and none other than their most attractive math teacher. For a split second, he had been captivated by the display. Lin Weiwei certainly knew how to toy with people. If there had not been so many onlookers present, who knew what might have happened? A faint blush rose to his cheeks. Girls are truly hard to figure out. 1 hour remained until they reached the survivor trading post. En route, Hao Chun's radar picked up several other aircraft. None of them attacked. All were flying toward the same destination. Hao Chun nodded thoughtfully. He suspected the survivor trading post would be crowded. Within 20 minutes, he had already spotted 2 planes heading there. Once the coordinate announcement had gone out, dozens, possibly even hundreds of aircraft might converge on the location. I wonder if our resources will be enough. 400 low-grade crystal cores ought to cover lodging for everyone for 1 night. Hao Chun exhaled and increased flight speed. All right, let's see exactly what this survivor trading post is all about. Ding. Flight has entered the survivor trading post protected zone. Protective perimeter extends 50 kilometers outward. We've reached the safe zone already? Hao Chun murmured upon hearing the aircraft announcement. At the same time, 3 more planes showed up on radar, entering the protected area behind them. Su Qinglan sat in the co-pilot seat, no longer surprised by the sight. Dozens of aircraft had appeared along their journey, all bound for the trading post. Hao Chun, look ahead. Su Qinglan sat upright and pointed toward the distance. Hao Chun followed her gaze. Floating in the distance was a massive floating island. It held hundreds of flight runways, and on one side stretched a huge service complex. Hao Chun's system panel materialized. System data loading. Aircraft information confirmed. Captain information confirmed. Welcome Flight 522 to the Survivor Trading Post. Click here to pay docking fees. Docking for 1 day costs 5 low-grade crystal cores. Huh. Hao Chun raised an eyebrow. 5 low-grade crystal cores for 1 day of docking. That price is quite reasonable. With 400 on hand, prices inside the trading post are probably not too steep. The instant he finished speaking, startled cries echoed through the passenger cabin. Who is that? Where did this person come from out of nowhere? They're wearing a full-body white suit. Could this be a robot? Su Ming stared at her in astonishment. Realizing what was happening, Lin Jiao immediately stood up from her seat and knocked on the door to the main cockpit. Hao Chun, teacher, something has come up out here. Could someone please come take a look? Hearing the girl's screams, Su Qinglan quickly unfastened her seatbelt in the co-pilot seat. Hao Chun, I'm going to go check what's going on. Hao Chun did not reply, but nodded in understanding. Su Qinglan hurriedly opened the door. When she saw the figure before her, she froze for a moment. The next second, the girl in the white one-piece suit slowly lifted her head and opened her eyes. Greetings. I am Survivor Trading Station Robot Unit 199. I project a hologram with realistic tactile feedback. To help survivors learn more about the trading station, I am honored to serve as your guide. Please do not be alarmed. I exist solely to provide assistance. A robot. A hologram with real tactile sensations? Wow, that's such advanced technology. Su Ming reached out and poked its arm out of curiosity. It feels so soft, and it even has body warmth. It seems she was telling the truth. Once everyone learned it was a robot, their wariness faded away. Su Qinglan quickly pieced together the situation. So this is a guide built to help survivors get familiar with the trading station. Our flight is probably not the only one that encountered this. Its identification number is 199, which suggests 199 aircraft may have received this welcome. Su Qinglan analyzed the facts as the rest of the group nodded slowly in agreement. Meanwhile, Hao Chun had submitted low-grade crystal cores and obtained docking clearance. Flight 522, please dock at runway 109. Docking route has been generated for you. The aircraft's announcement echoed through the cabin. Hao Chun followed the directions and steered the plane toward the trading station before aligning it with the runway. Since this was a floating sky island, a steep descent was unnecessary. He only needed to reduce speed. He handled landing gear and flaps with practiced ease. The docking was both faster and smoother than previous attempts. Flight 522 has successfully docked at runway 109. Should you require fuel replenishment, contact Robot Unit 199 and provide the appropriate crystal cores. It will complete all related procedures for you. Hao Chun exhaled and unfastened his seatbelt. Glancing through the window, he saw dozens of parked aircraft all around. A quick count showed at least 40-plus planes. No wonder survivors flock here. This place offers fuel supplies, rest areas, and affordable docking fees. It's genuinely practical. Fuel won't be an issue for us anyway. If we run low, I can use my duplication ability to make more and top up the tanks. That solves our most urgent problem. A faint smile tugged at the corner of Hao Chen's mouth. He stood up and stretched. When he turned around, he caught sight of Robot Unit 199. The robot wore a form-fitting outfit, had sleek black hair and delicate facial features, along with an impressive figure. Still, it was only a machine, so inappropriate thoughts were pointless. Hao Chen shook his head to dispel those wandering ideas. Finally, we can get some proper rest. I'm looking forward to lying down on a real bed in an inn. He placed his hands behind his head and walked over to the others. We have docked at the Survivor trading station. Everyone may disembark and breathe some fresh air. The cabin door slid open. Su Ming was the first to rush outside. She greedily drew in deep breaths. This feels amazing. I was worried we might suffer oxygen deficiency this high up, but everything is fine. It's pretty safe here. The other girls filed out one after another, each carrying a small backpack, gazing curiously at their surroundings. Robot Unit 199 stepped toward the group and faced Hao Chun and the others. Unit 199 is at your service. Would you like to proceed to the trading district, in district, or food district first? Everyone exchanged glances and spoke in unison. The in district. We've been sleeping in airplane seats for days with nowhere to lie flat. Sitting for so long leaves our hips and backs aching, Su Ming complained. Exactly. My body gets so sore from sitting. I wish this plane had real beds with warm blankets to curl up in. Having received their request, Unit 199 bowed respectfully. Understood. Unit 199 nodded slightly. Scanning available in rooms. 17 vacant rooms are confirmed. Each room costs 2 low-grade crystal cores per night, including hot water, basic heating, and 1 bed. Shall I complete the group booking? Yes, Hao Chen replied. Unit 199 nodded respectfully in response. Hao Chen walked to the front of the group, whistling softly, a sense of ease he had not felt in a long time showing on his face. No survivor was permitted to start fights within the service zone, and aircraft could not be damaged here either. However, these protections vanished the moment you stepped outside the trading station's boundary. That was why Hao Chun could finally relax. Nobody wanted to live in constant danger when they could rest peacefully. Let's go. Stay close and don't fall behind. Reminded of this, the girls quickened their steps to keep up. Numerous other survivors watched their procession. Hey, look over there. How did that guy end up with so many women following him? Can he even look after all of them? There must be 30 girls. That's a huge group to support. Maybe he has some rare special talent that makes it easier for him to take care of a large party. That would explain it. You always think about the strangest things. Young men, elderly folk, and burly survivors all turned their eyes toward Hao Chen's group as they headed for the inn district. A red-haired delinquent stepped out from off to one side, greed flickering across his expression. The inn district. One man leading 30 women. How many crystal cores must he have? Each room costs 2 low-grade crystal cores a night. For 31 people that would be. He counted on his fingers, and his eyes widened. 62 crystal cores. His breathing grew heavy as he spotted a promising target. I've only earned 20 crystal cores in 3 days. This kid carries more resources than I've scraped together in ages. That's a big score. I'm keeping my eye on him. His gaze drifted from Hao Chun toward the female teacher among the group. He did not follow them. Instead, he turned and walked the opposite way. 3 muscular men in black jackets squatted by the roadside smoking. One of them lifted his chin upon seeing the red-haired man approach. The red-haired man crouched down and lowered his voice. Found a fat target. One guy leading 30 women heading for the in-district. We've hit the jackpot this time. Survivor Trading Station, in-district. The in-district entrance was housed inside a 3-story building painted off white. A glowing electronic screen hung above the doorway. It displayed the current number of vacant rooms. Vacant rooms today, 17 rows of plastic benches stood near the entrance. Tattered survivors slouched across them. Some leaned against walls dozing. Others sat hugging their knees, and a few nibbled slowly on half-eaten compressed biscuits, as if afraid to finish them too quickly. From a distance, they looked like displaced refugees. As Hao Chun walked past with his 30 girls, every pair of eyes turned toward them. A middle-aged man with graying hair nudged the person beside him and whispered, "Is that a whole class of female college students with him? Must be close to 30. Let me count. 30. One total if you count the guy. 30 women without him," replied a tall, thin man counting on his fingers. One male leader and all those women. They look neat and tidy, not like people who just barely escaped danger. Of course they look different. they can afford in rooms. Look at how confident he walks, like he's rolling in resources. A bald young man perched on the end of the bench held an unlit cigarette between his teeth. He watched Hao Chen push open the glass and door, and his eyes darted about. Staying at the inn, 2 crystal cores minimum per room each night. 31 people means 62 cores, plus food and supplies. He'd need well over 100 crystal cores. He swallowed, unable to hide his envy. I've only gotten 15 crystal cores in 3 days. A woman huddled against the wall tightened her grip on her empty backpack. That young man must have an extremely high survival rating, or he looted enormous stockpiles from a city. Neither is something the rest of us can manage. We can barely feed ourselves, yet he supports 30 other people. Just think about that. Hao Chun heard every word of their envious murmurs, but paid them no mind. He had no intention of playing the charitable hero and handing out supplies. Everything he owned had been earned at the risk of his life. Giving it away to strangers was out of the question. I'm not a charity case. I already need to feed myself and 30 other people. I have no spare resources to hand out to you. Hao Chun did not glance back. He walked straight to the front desk, where Robot Unit 199 waited for him. He took 62 low-grade crystal cores out of his system storage bag. The cores piled on the counter, shimmering pale blue. Through the glass, survivors on the benches leaned forward, staring with undisguised longing. Hao Chun spoke in a firm, decisive tone. Book 17 rooms for 1 night. Confirmed. Unit 199 raised one hand and traced an arc in the air. The 62 crystal cores slid into a slot on the counter. 17 light, gray room cards slid out of the machine in a neat line. Unit 199 held them out toward Hao Chun with both hands. Hao Chun took the cards and turned, shaking them for the 30 girls behind him to see. 2 people per room. Pair yourselves up. I will take a single room. Su Ming jumped forward and threw an arm around Lin Jiao's shoulder. I'm sharing with the class monitor. I want to chat with you late into the night. I don't want a room with you, Lin Jiao protested, elbowing Su Ming's waist, yet she did not pull away. And Yao leaned toward Jiang Nua and nudged her elbow. Want to share a room? I found a new set of sleepwear and I want your opinion on it. I can give you feedback, just don't keep parading around in it. I don't want to get weirded out before bed. You're the one who's weird. Cheng Yinyan tugged gently at Bai Xiao's sleeve. Xiao, can we share? I promise I won't steal the blanket. Sure, Bai Xiao answered softly. I'll sleep by the outer side so I can wake first if anything happens. Su Jieji walked quietly over to Su Yu. I'll room with you. Before Su Yu could reply, Lin Weiwei darted over and linked arms with her. No, Su Yu is my best friend, so she stays with me. You find someone else. Su Jieji stared at her blankly. Weren't you just asking Fang Yutong to teach you how to mend torn clothing? Lin Weiwei's mouth opened and shut. I changed my mind. Caught between them, Su Yu looked helplessly back and forth. She gently pried Lin Weiwei's hands off her arm. Jejia has never shared a room before, so I'll stay with her. Go learn mending from Fang Yutong. Su Yu, you betrayed our friendship. Lin Weiwei stamped her foot, then turned to find Fang Yutong. Luo Qianqian caught in Yao's eye. We can room together. I want to test how see-through one of my swimsuits is. Quit it with your silly little experiments. Experiments teach you things. I can show you some handy tricks only girls know. You always come up with such odd ideas. A faint blush rose on Yao's cheeks even as she looked exasperated. Hao Chun was distributing room cards when heavy footsteps echoed from outside. From the corner of his eye, he spotted 4 figures through the glass door, including the red-haired man. 3 of them were far bulkier than Hao Chun, each carrying a spiked club. The survivors who had been lingering by the windows scattered the instant these men approached. Some fled still clutching half-eaten biscuits. Everyone clearly feared this group. The red-haired man pushed the door open. His gaze lingered on Hao Chun for a second before sweeping across the girls behind him. He looked from Lin Jiao to Su Jieji, then Su Ming, and finally settled on Cheng Yinyan. She stood beside Bai Xiao, round-faced and gentle-eyed, easy for anyone to notice. You. The red-haired man pointed at Cheng Yinyan, his expression greedy. I want her. That girl with double ponytails will do as a second choice. He pointed toward Lin Weiwei. Hand one of them over, and you can take the rest and leave. Otherwise, one of the burly men slammed his spiked club against the floor, cracking the tiles. You'll all get beaten tonight. Hao Chun sighed. He stuffed the leftover room cards into his pocket and glanced toward Robot Unit 199 beside the front desk. A quick question. Please go ahead. If I use gravity suppression without attacking or inflicting physical harm, does that violate trading station rules? Unit 199's eyes lit up as it processed the query. Direct offensive or damaging abilities are strictly forbidden. Suppression, restraint, and movement. Restricting abilities are permitted as long as they do not cause lasting bodily injury. Hao Chen nodded. He looked calmly at the four intruders. You heard that. This ability stays within the rules. The red-haired man's face darkened. Heard what? Frightened, Cheng Yinyan hurried over to Hao Chen and wrapped both arms around his arm, staring nervously at the four men. I just wanted to dock and rest, and you people come picking fights. You brought this on yourselves. Hao Chen pulled on his analysis glasses. Data about the intruder's talent levels scrolled across the lenses, and a small smile formed on his lips. Don't worry. I'm only going to hold you down for a little while. Think of it as cleaning the floor with your faces. He did not lift a single hand. Gravity crashed down. Bang! All four men crashed onto the ground, completely immobilized. It felt as though thousands of kilograms of iron weighed down on their bodies. What is this? Hao Chen looked down at them and pushed his analysis glasses up his nose. Light, blue streams of data flashed across the lenses. B. Rank Flame Manipulation C. Rank Enhanced Physique C. Rank U Rapid Regeneration A. Rank Plant Mutation 1B. Rank 2C. Ranks and an A. Rank, he thought to himself. He took off the glasses and put them away, slowly scanning each of the four men. You dare threaten me with talents like these? You must think decent abilities make you invincible. One strong man tried to turn his head. Veins bulged on his neck, yet his skull stayed pinned firmly against the ground. You, the red-haired man ground out through gritted teeth, his mouth filled with dust. Hao Chen squatted beside him and saw a tattoo of the character for kill on the back of his head. The trading station bans physical attacks. This is suppression, not an assault. If you feel wronged, you can file a complaint with Unit 199. She witnessed everything. Every step was compliant. Standing behind the counter, Unit 199 stated flatly, scans confirm no lasting physical damage was inflicted. The action complies with trading station safety regulations. The red-haired man's eyes bulged, but he could not utter another word. One burly man managed to force a hoarse sound out of his throat. Let us go? We know we were wrong. Hao Chen stood and looked down at them, tapping his toe lightly against the floor. I'm letting you go only because of the station's rules. If we meet outside the protected zone, he paused, a meaningful smile spreading across his face. It won't end with you just lying on the ground. The red-haired man's lips twisted. Veins popped on his forehead. Don't think your power makes you untouchable. Once you step outside the safety barrier, my crew and I will get our revenge. None of the women with you will survive. TCH. Hao Chen frowned and amplified the gravity once more. Too much noise. A heavier, invisible force pressed down on the four men. This time the pressure was intense enough to make their ribs ache. A moment later, Hao Chen lifted the gravity effect. He turned back toward Unit 199. One more thing. They smashed up the floor tiles. Shouldn't they pay compensation in crystal cores? Unit 199 nodded. Property damage has been confirmed. Violators must pay reparations. Gentlemen, please proceed to the payment counter. Refusal will result in forceful intervention by trading station security. The red-haired man got to his feet, jaw tight and eyes bloodshot, burning with resentment. Let's go. As they retreated out of the inn, he glanced back at Hao Chen, clearly still burning with rage. With the troublemakers gone, Hao Chen relaxed. Immediately afterward, a soft figure clung to his arm. Cheng Yinyan was holding his right arm tightly, her chin nearly resting on his shoulder. She said nothing, still trembling slightly from the frightening scene she had just witnessed. Hao Chen, I'm really scared. Cheng Yinyan lowered her head a little more as she spoke, leaning slightly toward him. She was a soft-featured, round-faced girl. Hunching her neck like this made her look even smaller. What if they come back in the middle of the night? What if they figure out which room we're staying in? I'm worried they'll come after me. Before Hao Chen could reply, Luo Qianqian's voice drifted over. Ninian, are you planning to stay in the same room as Hao Chen? Cheng Yinyan's face flushed bright red. She instantly let go of his hand and stood stiffly beside him, saying nothing at all. What are you so nervous about? And Yao chimed in, tilting her head to look at her. Are you afraid the red-haired group will come back, or are you just uneasy sharing a room with Hao Chen? By now Cheng Yinyan's ears were burning red, and her cute round cheeks were completely flushed. Su Qinglan stood at the stairway, watching the scene with a complicated expression. She finally stepped in to defuse the tension. All right, it's normal for a girl to be scared. Hao Chen, stay alert tonight. Nian Yan will sleep on the bed, and you take the floor. Huh, why me? This is my rented room. So why do I have to sleep on the floor? That's totally unfair. Hao Chen sighed inwardly. Fine. He agreed readily, glancing down at Cheng Yinyan beside him. But let's get this straight. You sleep on the bed, and I sleep on the floor. If you roll off and land on me in your sleep, whose fault is that? Chung Yin froze for a second, then giggled. Her grip on his sleeve loosened a little. It's my fault. Okay, let's go. As Hao Chen turned and headed upstairs, the girls behind him laughed and teased all the way up the steps. Luo Qianqian called out after them. Yin, stay alert tonight. Don't say things like that. Chung Yin mumbled with her head hung low. Room 202 ding-dong. The lights automatically switched on the moment Hao Chen pushed open the door. He took a deep breath. The familiar scent of a hotel room hung in the air, with clean bedding and a comfortable mattress. There was also a desk and a bathroom. I never thought two low-grade crystal cores could get me such nice accommodation. I wonder what kind of rooms mid-grade and high-grade cores would buy. Probably presidential suites with rooftop swimming pools or something. Hao Chen grew excited just thinking about it. When I've got more resources later, I'm definitely going to enjoy myself. Seeing the room, Chung Yin's face lit up with a soft smile. Wow, such a soft big bed. She set down her backpack and flopped onto the mattress. It felt as if she were sinking into clouds, soft and cozy. At that moment, Chung Yin wished she could stay here forever. Hao Chen walked over and smiled at her relaxed profile. How is it? It's so comfortable. It would be really nice if both of us could sleep on this bed tonight. Oh, I mean me. Realizing what she had blurted out, Chung Yin quickly corrected herself, her cheeks flushing again. So you're saying I get to sleep on the bed too? As Hao Chen moved closer, Chung Yin buried her face in the quilt and nodded. Her voice came out muffled. You booked this room. It wouldn't be right to make you sleep elsewhere. Besides, I feel safe when you're nearby. What she said made sense. At least she knew who had rented the room and understood whose protection she should rely on to survive for now. Hao Chen simply smiled and glanced at the wall clock. It was already 3 in the afternoon. In a few hours, the no-flight period would begin and night would fall. He rested a finger on his chin and thought for a moment. Then he called softly toward the empty space. Smart. 199, I need your help. The next instant, a cute short-haired girl in a white tight, fitting outfit appeared before him. How may I assist you, master? Look up worthwhile places to visit in the trading post tonight. Also, which runway are the red-haired guys group parked at? Analyzing data for you now. Data analysis complete. Smart. 199 opened her system panel and spoke gently. The trading district will be busiest after dark. Many survivors gather there to trade equipment. You can find rings, chest armor, combat boots, and all kinds of survival gear looted from anomalous creatures. She paused and scrolled down with her finger. The aircraft belonging to the red-haired group is parked on runway 91. It is a grade 1 vessel. A smile tugged at Hao Chen's lips upon hearing the report. Only grade 1, yet they act so arrogant. Most likely after the 3-day trial, the crystal cores from their evaluation unlocked powerful talents for some of them, making them cocky. Since their aircraft ranks lower than mine, I have nothing to fear. Hao Chen stretched and stood up. If the red-haired group tried to pick a fight with him, he would not hesitate to shoot their aircraft full of holes with his 2 light machine guns. There was still plenty of time before the trading district reached peak hours. Hao Chen looked at the ring on his ring finger. It was fine, grade, and should sell for quite a few crystal cores. He also had the principal's analysis glasses, which were rare, grade quality. He turned to Smart, 199, standing beside him. Calculate how much these 2 items would fetch in the trading district. Smart 199's eyes quickly scanned the 2 objects on the table, and her system panel lit up. Master, initial assessment. The strength ring is fine grade, and the analysis glasses are rare grade. The strength ring can be sold for 200 low-grade crystal cores. The analysis glasses can be sold for 1,000 low-grade crystal cores. That adds up to at least 1,200. I already have over 300 on hand. After selling these, I'll have 1,500 low-grade crystal cores total. I can afford good food and nice lodging. I won't have to worry at future trading posts. I can replicate loot from monsters and sell the copies for profit. Eyes sparkling, Hao Chen reached toward the items on the table. Super duplication. Immediately, an extra strength ring and an extra pair of analysis glasses materialized on the table. Now the crystal cores will roll in. Evening, when Hao Chen pushed open the door to room 202, Chung Yin was already asleep on her side. She had wrapped herself tightly in the quilt, her face buried in the pillow, breathing steadily. The warm yellow bedside nightlight illuminated her gently fluttering eyelashes. Hao Chen stood in the doorway for 2 seconds, then closed the door very softly. He zipped his jacket all the way up and double-checked the items in his pocket. This is going to be a huge profit. They're only duplicates anyway, and their functions are nearly identical. Smart 199 was already waiting by the door. Houchin waved at her. Let's go. Smart 199 nodded. How are the other girls? Has anyone gone out? Master, none of the girls have left. They are all staying safely in their rooms. Some got up to cook instant noodles and fry steak. Everyone is behaving. Houchin nodded in satisfaction. He had been worried one of them might wander outside and run into trouble with thugs, but that concern was unfounded. The lobby downstairs was quiet. Some refugees still sat on the benches, though fewer than during the day. Those who remained huddled against the wall dozing, and nobody noticed Houchin slip out through the side entrance. The trading district lay on the east side of the floating island, about 10 minutes' walk from the inn. Nightfall meant anomalous creatures became active, but the protective barrier kept them out. Looking up, Houchin saw creatures pounding the shield. He arrived at the trading district. Its entrance was an arched metal gate with a glowing electronic sign scrolling 2 lines. No violence, no looting. On either side stood 1.9-meter-tall uniformed security robots, solid and imposing. Stepping inside, he found a long corridor lined with numbered stalls. Smart 199 walked beside him and explained, there are 100 small trading zones. Each holds up to 20 survivors. Zone 2 has 1 spot left for auction items. Houchin headed straight for Zone 2. Inside were all sorts of survivors. Some looked well off, others emaciated. One sight caught his eye. A very large woman holding a gaunt man whose cheeks were sunken and whose eyes were shadowed, as if he had suffered terrible hardship. Put these 2 items up for sale in Zone 2's auction. Smart 199 took the items and processed them quickly. Your items have been registered in Zone 2. Houchin nodded and found a seat. This robot is extremely useful. It can monitor the girls and handle sales for me. This universal aerial survival world holds so many surprises I haven't seen yet. I'm curious to learn more. He sat down on an empty seat at the edge of the zone. He spotted familiar figures across the room. The red-haired man, the burly brute, and their 2 lackeys. Well, look who it is. My defeated opponent. Houchin tapped his seat armrest with a faint smile. The 4 men sat on folding chairs in the second row. The red-haired man had his legs crossed, arms resting on his knees, whispering to the scar-faced brute beside him. When his gaze drifted from the auction platform, it met Houchin's eyes. At the sight of Houchin, the red-haired man's jaw tightened. Hatred burned plainly in his eyes. He vividly remembered being pinned to the floor at noon and getting fined because of Smart 199. He clenched his fists, grinding his teeth, yet forced himself to stay seated. He shot Houchin a hostile glare like a predator sizing up prey. The burly brute beside him noticed and pressed a hand on his shoulder. Focus on our main objective from the boss. Don't start unnecessary trouble. The red-haired man inhaled deeply and exhaled slowly, unclenching his fists. He looked back toward the auction platform, his tone rigid. I know. Faint red light flickered in his palms. If survival weren't on the line, no one would sell their loyalty. It's the only way to find powerful backing. Just you wait. Once I buy good gear, I'll show you not to mess with me. Meanwhile, the auction began. The first item appeared as a hologram on the large screen. Houchin's analysis glasses. The glasses floated at the center of the projection, with text scrolling underneath. Rare grade analysis glasses. Starting bid. 800 low-grade crystal cores. The red-haired man's eyes widened. Rare grade. This will please the boss. He raised his hand without hesitation. 850. His burly companion tugged at his sleeve. Are you crazy? We only have 1,800 total. Quiet. This is worth it. Leaning back in his seat in the back row, Houchin watched the red-haired man bid, a smile spreading across his face. Oh, it's definitely worth it. Hearing the bid of 850, Houchin smiled. He stood up, closed his eyes, and raised one index finger. I bid 900 low-grade crystal cores. The red-haired man's face flushed when he realized Houchin was bidding against him. Damn it. He keeps humiliating me. I can't let him win this. If I bring this back, the boss will value me highly. Ignoring his companion's protests, he raised the price. I bid 1,000 low-grade crystal cores. Satisfied, Houchin sat back down. The price had hit the value Smart 199 had estimated. Other attendees grew eager. Rare-grade items were uncommon. Most gear was common, fine, or high-grade. Owning rare-grade equipment meant a major advantage. A bulky man wearing a white tiger fur coat called out, 1,100. 1,200. I bid 1,200. 1,250. Nobody outbid me. The red-haired man gritted his teeth, determined to win the glasses. Don't be reckless, his companion warned. The boss gave us limited resources. Wasting everything on one item will get us in trouble. But this is rare grade. Do you understand what that means? None of us have proper gear. If I bring this back, the boss might reward us with more equipment. He shook off the brute's hand, his eyes sharp. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'm going all in. He stood and held up his bidding paddle. I bid 1,400. The crowd fell silent. 1,400 was an enormous sum, enough to buy large amounts of food and water. Most bidders' upper limit had been around 1,100 to 1,200. The hologram counted down. When the timer hit 0, the analysis glasses transferred into the red-haired man's system inventory, and his crystal cores were deducted and routed to the seller. Watching the whole bidding show, Hao-Chen grinned widely. He pushed it all the way from 800 to 1,400. 600 extra profit. I'm making a fortune. He wiped his mouth and composed himself. Stay calm. I'm professionally trained. I don't laugh no matter how funny things get, unless I really can't help it. He coughed lightly. The subsequent auction lots were less interesting. There were damaged pistols, missing parts that would need repairs, and several common-grade rings. Hao-Chen's fine-grade strength ring drew interest and finally sold for 400 low-grade crystal cores. After auction fees, Hao-Chen gained a total of 1,700 low-grade crystal cores. Staring at the crystal cores in his inventory, Hao-Chen felt elated. He stepped out of the trading district and breathed the night air. These duplicated items sold incredibly well. Maybe I can gather materials to upgrade my aircraft to grade 3. He swiped to open his system panel. Current vehicle grade, 2. Upgrade materials, 2,000 universal parts, 200 iron, 8 aviation grade alloy frames, 12 high-strength bulletproof skin panels, 2 impact-resistant seats. Hao-Chen frowned. The upgrade required far more resources than the last one, which had only needed universal parts. Where am I supposed to find these? I doubt they are sold here. After thinking it over, he summoned Smart 199 again. Smart 199, come here. She appeared beside him. How may I help you, master? Look up where I can buy these materials. Hao-Chen shared the upgrade list with her system panel. She scanned the list and analyzed the data. Aviation-grade alloy frames times 8, high-strength bulletproof skin panels times 12, impact-resistant seats times 2. These materials are available for purchase inside the trading district. Shall I complete the purchase for you? First tell me the total cost in crystal cores. After calculating, she replied, purchasing all required materials will cost 1,200 crystal cores. You currently hold 2048. After purchase, you will have 848 remaining. Hao-Chen nodded slightly. He had hoped to splurge with his new wealth, but upgrading the aircraft would leave most of his gains spent. Still, remembering the items were duplicates eased his mind. I'll get more gear later. Next time I reach a trading post, I can copy and sell more loot. I'm really quite brilliant. Hao-Chen finished his thoughts without the slightest hesitation. Buy? Place the order for me right away. Bring these materials to me tomorrow. Upon hearing Hao-Chen's command, AI 199 closed her eyes and nodded. As you wish, my master. The next moment, she vanished from the spot, as if dissolving into fragments. Just as Hao-Chen was heading back toward the inn district, 4 men appeared up ahead. Street lamps stretched their shadows long. 4 figures stood in a line, blocking the path back to the inn. A red-haired man stood in the center, clutching the analysis glasses he had just won at auction. A wildly arrogant smirk tugged at his lips. He tilted his head and sized Hao-Chen up. Hey, isn't this the guy who acted so tough at noon? Showing off bringing 30 women to the inn. There was deliberate mockery in the red-haired man's voice. Did you blow all your credits covering those women's lodging, so you've got nothing left to buy anything? You walked out of the trading zone empty-handed. At the auction you just watched me raise my paddle, not daring to bid yourself. The burly men behind him burst out laughing, their rough laughter grating like sandpaper. The red-haired man twirled the glasses in his hands, clearly showing them off on purpose. Rare grade quality. Do you even know what rare grade means? It means something a poor guy like you will never get. He stepped half a pace closer and waved the glasses right in front of Hao-Chen's eyes. Something you will never get your hands on in your whole life. Hao-Chen stood with both hands in his pockets, his expression as calm as if he were watching a stray dog marking a utility pole. He said nothing, for inwardly he was thoroughly amused. Seeing no reaction, the red-haired man assumed Hao-Chen had been crushed. His tone grew even more smug. What? Cat got your tongue? You had plenty to say at noon. Now you see who the real big spender in the trading zone is? Hao-Chen finally spoke in a flat tone. How much did you pay for them? 1,400. The red-haired man practically shouted the number, tilting his chin high. Well, are you shocked? Hao-Chen nodded and gave him a sincere thumbs up. Impressive, truly impressive. 1,400 for a perfectly ordinary pair of glasses. What a fantastic deal. Perfectly ordinary. This is rare grade. You aren't worth as much as these glasses. How dare you call them ordinary? You really are some clueless pauper. The red-haired man was about to retort further, But Hao Chun had already stepped sideways past him without slowing his pace. As he walked away, one hand stayed in his pocket while the other lifted in a casual wave. Nice-looking glasses. Take good care of them and don't lose them, otherwise you'll take a huge loss. After all, they cost you 1,400 crystal cores. The red-haired man stood rooted, gripping the glasses. Something felt wrong, yet he could not put his finger on what it was. One of the burly men leaned over and scratched his head. Is he laughing at us? Shut up. In District 2, Room 305, third floor, the red-haired man respectfully held out the analysis glasses with both hands. A man lay on the bed smoking a cigarette, flanked by several beautiful women leaning against his chest. Boss Su Yun, this is the item I won for you at auction. It's rare grade quality. Oh. Su Yun raised an eyebrow and tapped cigarette ash into an ashtray. Rare grade. He stubbed out his cigarette, took the glasses, and slipped them onto his nose. His gaze swept across the room through the lenses. Light blue text floated above the first woman's head. Common tier talent none. The second woman showed the same reading. Common tier talent none. He turned toward the red-haired man. The lens displayed B rank, flame manipulation. That was all. Su Yun's eye twitched. He took off the glasses and examined them over and over. Apart from reading talent ranks, there were no extra functions. How much did this cost? The red-haired man stood by the bed, shoulders hunched. Oh, 1,400. How much? 1,400. Su Yun fell silent for 2 seconds. Then he hurled the glasses hard at the floor near the red-haired man's feet. The frame bounced against the tile. The lenses remained intact, yet gave off a sharp crack. The red-haired man flinched as though struck by a whip, but dared not dodge. The glasses landed 3 inches in front of his toes. Damn it. 1,400 low-grade crystal cores for this. And you bought me a useless pair of glasses that only read talent levels. Veins bulged on Su Yun's forehead. Do you think crystal cores grow on trees? Have you forgotten the 3-day protection period is over? He stood barefooted and stepped before the red-haired man, looking down at him. The women on the bed shrank back, frightened by his outburst, yet none dared make a sound. Killing an F-grade anomalous creature only gives a chance for crystal cores to drop, not a guaranteed reward. You wasted crystal cores I worked hard to save on this garbage. He kicked the glasses toward the corner without the slightest trace of regret. What were you thinking? The red-haired man stared at the floor before his feet, cold sweat soaking his back. He ground his teeth but did not dare utter a word in reply. He knew he was in the wrong. Provoked during the auction, he had acted on impulse and bid 1,400. He no longer had funds left to bid on the next 3 pieces of equipment. Su Yun took several deep breaths. After a few moments he calmed down. He returned to the bed, lit another cigarette, and exhaled. It's done. The crystal cores are already spent. Yelling at you won't bring them back. Fine. I'll give you 4 a chance to make amends. The red-haired man lifted his head at once. His fellow subordinates did the same. Wang Er, open our door and knock on the opposite room. Some of our men are resting over there. Wang Er was a tall, broad-shouldered man in a black suit, bald, and wearing dark sunglasses like a personal bodyguard. He nodded, opened the door, and knocked on the room across the hallway. The door swung open. 5 or 6 powerfully built, tattooed men stood inside. Su Yun exhaled another puff of smoke. The boys have been working hard. You four will go over there and make yourselves useful as your way of apologizing for your mistake. And make ourselves useful? Sir, what exactly are we supposed to do? Su Yun let out a cold snort, a smirk playing across his lips. We have no women available right now, but you men can go and keep them company. The red-haired man and his 3 companions froze completely. Hao Chen's room finally finished everything. Time for a shower and a good night's sleep. Hao Chen placed his hand on the doorknob and gently pushed the door open. At that exact moment, the bathroom door opened. Cheng Yinyan stepped out wrapped in a bath towel. Her hair was damp, and the scent of shampoo and body wash drifted from her. Fresh from her shower, she had not fully adjusted her towel. She was utterly flustered the instant she saw Hao Chen walk in. She did not know where to look or what to say, caught red-handed coming out of the bathroom when he returned. She grew increasingly flustered under his gaze. Hao Chen suddenly reached out his hand. Cheng Yinyan squeezed her eyes shut, her heart racing. She wondered what he was about to do, but Hao Chen only brushed away a small foam bubble stuck in her wet hair. You were a little careless just now, Cheng Yinyan. There was still shampoo foam caught in your hair. It's gone now. Disappointment flickered across Cheng Yinyan's eyes. Oh, only that. I thought something else might happen. No, everyone says you have to seize your own chances. I have to take initiative. Hao Chen walked toward the bed, hoping to lie down and unwind. Then a small soft hand wrapped around his wrist. Hao Cheng glanced down at his captured wrist, then looked up at Cheng Yinyan. Her shoulders were hunched, her head bowed low. Her bare shoulders peeking out from the towel were flushed pink. "What's wrong?" Hao Chen asked. Cheng Yinyan said nothing. She shuffled half a step forward and leaned into his chest. Her forehead rested against him, her breathing quick and warm through his shirt. I just want to hug the person I like." Hao Chen was caught off guard. Is that really so unreasonable? Her ears burned bright red as she spoke. Hao Chen stared down at the top of her soft hair and fell silent for 2 seconds. He spoke with genuine confusion. "I don't think I'm particularly handsome or outstanding. Don't girls usually go for rich, good-looking guys? Back in school, I often failed exams, skipped classes, and talked back to teachers. I was a trouble-making student. I never imagined I would appeal to anyone." Cheng Yinyan lifted her head abruptly, eyes glistening. She wanted to speak, yet held her words back. Pulled off, balanced by her embrace, Hao Chun fell backward onto the bed. Cheng Yinyan tumbled onto him along with the momentum. Both froze. Cheng Yinyan propped herself up on her elbows over his chest. They lay so close they could hear each other's heartbeats. Her cheeks burned hot, and one edge of her bath towel slipped slightly down her shoulder. Hao Chun lay beneath her, looking at her face inches away, and his Adam's apple bobbed. "Do you understand what you're doing right now?" Cheng Yinyan bit her lower lip. "I know." Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "I'm not a little kid." She locked eyes with him. "There's one thing I want to ask you." "What is it?" Cheng Yinyan leaned in until their faces were less than 3 centimeters apart. "Will you like me for the rest of your life?" With that, she leaned forward and kissed him.